This is ESPN Update. Brown exclusive mine in the ESPN Upstate studios in charge wired gear to make the show go the great Roto Grush, conducting the symphony of sound that is everything ESPN Upstate. Lonzo is here with us today.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Rob Brown representing today. I like that. Check that out. Check that out on the ESPN Upstate Facebook page where we're live. You gotta check out Rob's shirt. That is sweet.
Man. This was a. I got 2 Yoda shirts from the little brother a few years ago. Christmas. This is one of Christmas. This is one, and the other one has Yoda and has Yoda expression. Saying you live once, but of course, instead of that, it obviously says only once you live, because I am both trendy and vintage at the same time.
Not anybody can pull that off, but Rob, you can. Rob, you can.
Damn right.
Hopefully, by working with you through osmosis, I someday will be able to achieve.
I mean, we can only hope. All right, busy day on the show today here on a Friday, as it is every single day. We've got a bunch of stuff to get to. Our Final Fours set to go. The women's side will be taken off tonight. South Carolina in the game matching up with the Cardinal of Stanford. And I'm going to tell you about some Vegas betting odds that I found very, very interesting this morning when I went to go look to see if I was going to be dropping any cheddar on the games this weekend. I'll tell you about that coming up. In just a few minutes, we'll break down the men's side of the bracket as well as the fellas will play the Final Four tomorrow. I love you tomorrow. Women's championship game is Sunday evening. Monday will be the men's championship game. We're going to take a preview and fill out the smallest bracket ever on both the men's and women's side later on in the day. I've got some takeaways about the NFL's 17-game season. There are some ways that I was thinking about last night that the NFL is going to change because of the 17-game season. I'm going to tell you what those are in just a little while. Plus, there was a Cleveland broadcaster, because it was opening day yesterday, who absolutely lost his mind on one of his callers, and I don't know why the audio is as funny to me as it is of this Cleveland broadcaster just absolutely popping off on a caller for one of his takes yesterday, because ordinarily, as you guys know, I'm not really down. I'm not really into callers and hosts battling it out. It's not really my thing. But this audio absolutely cracked me up. So we're going to get into that. Coming up in a little while. Jay Busby is going to join us coming up at I believe 2:00. Let me go check and make sure I got my times right. But Jay Busby is going to join us at 2:00 to talk about a pair of articles that he put up on yahoosports.com. Yahoosports.com national writer Jay Busby joins us at 2:00 to talk about that. Of course, Twitter trending topics to wrap up the show and a whole lot more. It is going to be a busy day on the broadcast today. So, Zoe, what do you say we jump right into this bad boy?
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented. You guys are here.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Lunch!
It's the lunch breakdown. The 3 things that you have to know before you go start talking with your friends, coworkers, or the dog. The lunch breakdown, all the scuttlebutt you need to be able to chat with the coworkers, with the family, all day long. Item number one, lunch breakdown. Zoe is going to have some things to say about this one. I am sure. John Jones, after all the talk about the potential mega fight between John Jones and Francis Ngannou after Ngannou took the belt off of Stipe Miocic with the knockout at UFC 260. John Jones has been very, very vocal. He has posted long streams of Twitter messages about his dispute, which essentially boils down to the former heavyweight champion wanting a better contract to move up in weight classes. He has not wavered from that position since announcing he would be changing weight classes this past summer. Yet it does not seem the UFC wants to meet what he believes his quota to be. Jones said this week that in all between $8 and $10 million to fight Ngannou is, quote, way too low, end quote. And while he hasn't received an exact asking price, John Bones promises that he says it's nothing unreasonable. He said, quote, I'm not asking for anything outrageous, and I know we're in a pandemic, and I know when you're a multimillionaire and you're asking for more, it seems like you're the greedy person, and I'm aware of all of this, but I'm also aware that I have the voice and the platform to make change. Most of the guys who are doing the absolute worst are not in the position where they can say publicly, I have a second job. I'm borrowing money from my parents. I know so many guys that are living in the Jackson MMA gym because they can't afford to live in their own apartment, and they're UFC fighters. So this is sad. If I have to have a bad relationship with Dana, sit out for 2 years, 3 years to bring light to what's happening, then these are the things people remember you for more than winning belts, to stand up for the younger fighters. So I always respect a guy who says, I feel really, really bad for all the young guys that are living in the gym because they can't afford an apartment, so I want $14 million. It's a solid argument, Lonzo. I got to tell you, in the grand scheme of things, I want 14 mil because there are guys showering in a gym. Pretty convincing argument overall.
Hey, what a guy, standing up for the kids, doing what is right. That's what he's known for, right? This is the upstanding citizen known as John Jones. It gets me right here in my heart. It's a warm spot for that. I hope he's able to get what he wants, just so he can, just go away. Please go away. All you're known for is cheating. Go away. Do you think he deserves this amount of money? Maybe not. To me, it'd be worth giving this money just watching God knock his head off. But Dana's going to cave.
Oh, he's absolutely going to.
He's going to cave. He's going to cave because this is the money fight. This is the fight everyone wants to see. This is just negotiation through the media, and it's just a matter of writing that amount of money. They'll meet somewhere in between, and this fight will happen. If not, well, then it will look like John Jones and Ngannou, and I don't think his ego could handle that.
Let me tell you, Zoe, what is the most disappointing thing that a person can do for me? And I apologize for losing the stream. The echo should be fixed now. That was on me. I forgot to push the button. My bad. So let me tell you what one of the most disappointing things that a person can do, in my opinion, and that is to be out for themselves, but be publicly talking about how they're trying to do it for the less fortunate. It drives me up a wall, all right? It drives me up a wall. It drives me up a wall when I see people that are going, oh, I'm only asking for all of this extra money and all these resources that other people can't have because I feel bad for the less fortunate. Right, yeah, that's great if you're, using that money to fix a problem. See, I would go with John Bone Jones if he truly is trying to level out the system here. Truly is trying to level out the system. Then Zoe, ask for $15 million for that fight, but pledge to give $5 million of it to everybody in the roster who's making less than $100,000 a year. How much good could John Bones Jones do if he took that extra $5 if he gets it, and he hands out $250,000 checks to everybody on the UFC roster who's making less than $100K a year and trying to make a career out of it?
Yeah,
he would change lives.
You know, you and I, we discussed this in the Fight Club yesterday, how much money UFC fighters actually make. And I believe for a title, it was $42,000.
Yeah.
So think of how much more than $42,000 he's asking for. And I'm not even going to try to do the math. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot more.
Yeah.
But I agree. You know, if you're really standing up for the kids, those guys struggling, give them some of the purse. Guarantee that you're going to give them some of the purse. And prove that you are the guy you're trying to depict yourself as being, and no one believes you are.
Yeah. You have an opportunity. And instead, you're going, I want 15 because there are that's my problem. It's the group of people, and here I'll even get myself in a little bit of trouble. You know who else I put in this group? People like the mega pastors that live in $50 million homes and have 3 or 4 different private jet airlines and car collections, and they have and they don't do anything. They don't do anything. They just, hey, send us money for the greater good, and also because I got a mortgage coming up on a $50 million house I got to pay off. It's the people that go around and there's one particular charity that comes to mind for me, that they solicit money all year long. All year long. We're doing it for this cause. And then when you actually go look at the breakdown of the money that they take in and where it goes, the majority of it goes to paying administrative staff and marketing. That's what they do. They don't actually put but like 8% of the money that comes in. When you do that, that's an instant way to get me to really dislike you. John, my dude, you want to ask for more money, that's fine. But don't put on this sanctimonious BS show. There's just guys that are just trying to make it, and they're having to sleep in their cars. And I hate that they have to sleep in their cars, so give me $5 million. So, I got to tell you, dude, John Bones Jones, when he broke onto the scene years ago, I thought was the prodigy. I thought he was the guy. I thought that was going to be the guy that I was a fan of for life. I'm in your camp now. I want to see Francis Ngannou pull a rock'em sock'em robot on John Jones in the octagon at this point. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah, I want to see a Masvidal Ben Askren kind of thing.
Yeah,
just the bell rings, boom, he's out.
Yeah,
I want to see that.
Yeah, I'm there with you.
But isn't that kind of what you want, though? Don't you want that villain? You want that villain in UFC, and he's just building his heelness.
See, here's the thing. I agree. But see, Conor McGregor's a villain for me. I want it, but I don't have Conor McGregor's just arrogant, and that's fine. That's the whole point, right? Tough to call a guy arrogant and cocky and overboard when he's the double champ who can do what the blank he wants, right? John Jones, I don't dislike him because he's arrogant. I dislike him because he's a tool. And there's a difference.
I dislike him. I already disliked him, but I disliked him even further when he made fun of Daniel Cormier after he got knocked out. And yeah. Cormier should not have been interviewed as quickly as he was, and he was crying. And John Jones has made fun of him about that. And I thought that was that's even below the belt as far as being that guy in the UFC that you want everybody to hate you type thing, but they're going to watch you. And he just, if you take away the cheating, you take away some of that stuff, then arguably he is one of the best, if not the best of all time. But you've got to stuff like this factors in, and I just get somebody to proofread your stuff before you send it out. I mean, you can afford it. I'm pretty sure. Just even just grab someone off the street. Hey man, should I send this? And they'll probably say no. Don't send.
I'm just saying, like in the studio, we have what we call a cough button. It's a little yellow button that sits in front of us. And whenever you're about to cough or sneeze, you reach over and you just push the button and you hold it. And as you hold the button, the mic is muted. So you can cough or sneeze or talk to somebody off the air, whatever you got to do. John Jones needs a guy who follows him around holding one of those buttons, but for his mouth, right? You push the button and John Jones stops talking, because that's the only way he's getting better out of this. We'll circle back around to that story coming up in a little while. Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown. Clemson, spring game, set to go tomorrow. Their spring game is going to get played over in Clemson. We are going to get to see the first appearance of this season's team from DJ Uiagalelei as he replaces Trevor Lawrence. Some positions that we're keeping an eye on. We are going to be keeping an eye on the running backs position, and we're going to really get more into this on Monday and Tuesday of next week when we get into the breakdown of the spring game. But some of the spots I'm keeping an eye on. How about the running back position? Will Shipley first look at the 5-star freshman recruit. Lynjay Dixon will be competitive into the fall as well, primarily as the starter. Dixon spelled ETN in each of the past 3 seasons, totaling more than 1,200 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns over his freshman and sophomore years combined. Junior campaign in 2020 saw a steep decline in both carries and performance, with just 42 rushes, down from 104 the year before, averaged just 4.2 yards per carry, nearly half of his career average. But Dixon remains the vet choice. We will see if he hangs on to that, or if Will Shipley maybe threatens that position. Obviously, we're going to keep an eye on the offensive and defensive lines. On offense, a new look offensive line, 4 first-year starters this coming up year. The run blocking was virtually non-existent against Ohio State. The Tigers averaged just 1.8 yards per rush before contact, down 1/3 from 2019. So we're going to keep an eye on the offensive line. And the receivers. If the stagnant run game was the number one problem for Clemson's offense last year, the inconsistency at outside wide receiver was considered by many to be a close second place. Cornell Powell stepped up midway through the year. Amari Rogers and ETN both offered alternatives to the outside, but they missed Justin Ross tremendously. We did get word that Justin Ross says he's feeling pretty good. He's got a June doctor's appointment coming up in which he will get a little bit of an update to see if he will be ready to jump into fall practices when they start up with that potentially career-ending neck injury. He still has not gone through full contact, but that doctor's appointment in June will give him a little bit of an update as to where he stands. We are keeping an eye out for freshman Beau Collins. Earned raving reviews this spring from teammates, has already established good chemistry with Uiagalelei, his high school teammate at St. John Bosco High School in California. Ross and T. Higgins were among the past Clemson stars to show off their skills in the spring game. We will see if anybody has a breakout coming up tomorrow, and again, we'll have a breakdown of that spring game on Monday of next week. And item number 3, a game that we are certainly going to be spending some time on later today, as we are taking you all the way till 4 o'clock today. I'll be with you until 4 o'clock, and then we will have our buddy Cole Bryson stepping in. Mark Ryan off today, so I got you till 4. Cole Bryson will be taking you from 4 to 5:45 when we turn over coverage to the Final Four battle between the Gamecocks and the Stanford Cardinal. The number 1 seed Cardinal, the number 1 seed Gamecocks. The Cardinal 29-2, the Gamecocks 26-4. A ticket to the national championship game is on the line. Stanford took down Louisville 78-63 on Tuesday. The Gamecocks, of course, led by Zaya Cook, 16, absolutely smoked Texas in the team's last action back on Tuesday. Stanford heads into this matchup with a 78.9 points per game average on the season, 21.1 more than the just 57.8 that South Carolina gave up this season per contest. The Cardinals are 29-2 in games in which they scored at least 58 points. You know what's interesting about that 29-2 number in which they scored 58 points, Alonzo? Their record is 29-2.
Wow.
Yeah. They don't score less than 58. They don't score less than 58. That's a big freaking number, y'all. The Gamecocks average more points per game, 75.8, than the 53.4 Stanford gives up. When South Carolina reaches the 53-point mark, they are 26-3 on the year. You'll notice that the Gamecocks, speaking of records that are impressive, 26-4 is their overall record. Keep an eye for Stanford. Kiana Williams, Stanford's leading scorer, averaging 14.5 per contest. She is a lovely three-point shooter as well. Averages about 3 3-pointers per contest. Very prolific, shooting 40% from behind the arc. Very impressive. But Zia Cooke is the answer for the Gamecocks. Averages 15.5 points per game. Destiny Henderson paces the squad with 5 assists and averages 12 points as well. But of course, all eyes will be on Aaliyah Boston. Her 11.4 rebounds per game and 13.8 might be the key here. Zia leads South Carolina's 3-point shooting efforts, 1.4 threes per game, connecting on 38% of her shots. They may need to go to her from the 3-point line a little bit or more often this evening. But this game, Lonzo, even if you are not a women's college basketball game, Stanford v. South Carolina night is going to be fireworks, dude. Fireworks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting home to make sure I'm there in time to watch this game, because do you think this is a championship game? It very well could be.
It very well could be. I actually do wish this was the championship game, because I think this is the best matchup in the Final Four. I will tell you, there will be some joy for me if South Carolina moves out of this and knocks off UConn. I like seeing the UConn women lose. I'm sorry. They're probably the first women's team that I'm like actively rooting against, But I'm the Huskies.
Why? Is it the coach? Is it
it's not really. It's so I'll tell you my biggest problem, and then we got to take a break. My biggest problem with women's basketball, and this is why I'm a South Carolina fan, because Dawn Staley kind of broke the mold open on this. The biggest problem I have in women's college basketball, though, is that the rich get richer and the poor never do, right? It's always UConn. It's always Stanford. It's always the same 3 or 4 teams that are towards the top of the list. So when those teams get knocked off by teams that are outside of the blue bloods and are more the new bloods, when teams outside of the hierarchy get knocked off, it opens up recruiting to other schools. See, we can beat UConn. We can beat Gonzaga. We can beat those teams. And when they pull that off, it's better for women's college basketball. Also, any team that wins 4 championships in a row, I root against them for forever. That's just how it goes. Let's take a break. We're way off the clock. Back after this. Rob Lonzo, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown.
All right. Yeah, got the echo fixed. Appreciate you, Keegan, Ron. Thanks for pointing that out. Steven said, Zoe, we've reached a momentum change. Steven said something nice about me. That's beautiful, Steven. Thank you so much. It's like poetry. I appreciate it. Oh, I get it. Now I see why you're being nice, Steven. Now I get it. Hey, man, whatever motive works. I'm here for it.
I'm not quite sure Rob can handle all the love that he's getting for the wardrobe change today, but it's good for you guys to be nice to him for a change. And when I first saw the top of that shirt, I thought Pinhead, and now in my mind, I've got a combination of Pinhead and Yoda that I cannot get out of my head. And it's like I'm trying to. How scary would that be? Pinhead Yoda. Ugh.
Flay your skin off, I will.
Yeah. Oh. I'm gonna have nightmares about that tonight for sure.
Pinhead Yoda. That's wow. So when you do the Yoda voice or a Yoda impression, or you speak like Yoda does, do you think about where you break up the sentences in order to do the Yoda speak? Like, I've never thought about it. It's just something I naturally do when I do a Yoda voice. And I don't know what the formula is for correctly utilizing Yoda's speech pattern. Like, the action goes last, right?
Sorry, I was management was in the room discussing something with me.
Tell them stop interrupting our very important conversations here.
Yeah, I know. I know. Ain't nothing I can do about it. I could have just, stared at above 5.5 feet and pretended like I didn't see the person who came in the room, but that probably wouldn't have went well. So,
management. Well, our
yeah, but there's still are other managers in here, acting managers. Not acting. He is a manager. Just the day was going really well. And it appears that I made a mistake, which I'm going to have to check. And once said mistake is made, when it comes to let's say a word,
sure,
you can't go back.
Nope.
And when there are multiple accounts of said word being the wrong word, I think I've done pretty good.
Well,
seeing as how the
had to bleep.
Well, no, it's not. It's not that. It's a word that you can win with.
Oh, gotcha.
More than the scores, the ups and downs, the ins and outs. Real, unfiltered sports talk. It's the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. Robin Lonzo with you today. I'm going to ask you this question. We talked earlier about John Bones Jones and the for me, the fall from the guy who was the future, the prodigy. And he still is one of, if not the best in the game. But what other athletes, for you personally, had the biggest fall from grace? I mean, an athlete that you looked up to, you admired, a guy that meant, or a gal that meant something to you, a guy or gal that had an importance in your life, that fell off a pedestal because of you or because of their actions to you. A guy that or a gal that was a big part of your love for sports, or that when you were a kid, you watched them, whatever, that fell from grace for you. John Bones Jones is in that camp for me. I'll give you another one. Ryan Braun was a guy when he was playing with the Brew Crew. I really enjoyed watching Ryan Braun's game. I loved watching Ryan Braun play. Ryan Braun was one of, and there aren't very many of them anymore, but one of the baseball players that got me to go out of my way to watch a game. I don't have any connections to Milwaukee. I'm not a Milwaukee guy. I've never been there. I don't have any friends that I'm aware of from Milwaukee, so I wasn't a big fan. But I would tune in to watch Ryan Braun play. I thought he was one of the most consistent hitters of my generation, phenomenal fielder. And then he tested positive for a drug test back in 2011. He won the appeal, but it wasn't because he didn't do it. He won the appeal on a technicality. And then, like less than a year after he won the appeal on a technicality, he was slapped with a suspension for the entire 2013 season, just about, for violating the league's substance abuse policy in the Biogenesis PED scandal of back in the day. Ryan Braun is on that list for me. Joe Paterno is a guy that had a fall from grace, to the point that when I see people nowadays repping Penn State stuff, it's a lot for me not to go ask him face to face, hey man, what's your take on Joe Paterno, and forming a legitimate personal opinion about them based on what they say about Joe Pa. Joe Paterno coached Penn State for 45 years. You could argue that he outpaced Bobby Bowden, because when Bobby started to fall off at the end, Joe Pa at the end of his career really did not. But it came out after the Jerry Sandusky deal that Joe Paterno had kind of helped to facilitate that, to keep them all but covered up, etc. And when it went down that way, it was just very disappointing. It was just very disappointing to watch that happen. Joe Paterno, a guy with a fall from grace. Brett Favre. I was a huge Brett Favre fan, the old Mississippi gunslinger, man. I love Brett Favre when I was a kid. But after the off-the-field incidents that took place between him and Jen Sturger, and the fact that he never actually really addressed it with anything other than an aw shucks attitude, Brett Favre kind of fell from grace for me. So I'll ask you, what athlete or coach, somebody in the sports world, what athlete or coach in the sports world was on a pedestal for you, but then had a fall from grace? Here's a couple of texts that have come in on this so far. At ESPN, one texter says Lance Armstrong was in that group. Yeah, that one obviously, to me, the PED thing in biking was interesting, because we know that basically, what was it? There was one thing somebody said, so that if you there was one Tour de France that if you eliminated every biker in that race that had tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs at some point in their career, that the first place trophy would have gone to the guy that rode in 32nd place across the finish line. It was some ridiculous number like that. But for me, it wasn't just that Lance did the doping. It was how brazen he got with the lies about it, and the fact that he had built up. Now, I'm not as mad about Lance, because Lance has raised, probably at this point, billions of dollars for cancer research and charity over the years.
Yeah, but people relate the two. The fact that he got the sympathy because he was able to overcome cancer, and he put out there that he was clean, and for years and years and years denied it. And then when it comes out that it's just that he was cheating, he just kind of had an attitude about it.
Yeah.
And I think he has never seemed very remorseful. And even if he did, it didn't seem genuine. And that's not being a big fan of the sport, but still, when you thought of the sport at that time, that was the guy you thought of. And it tainted the entire sport. Other than him, can you name a biker since then? You can't really. You might be
Other than him, can you name a biker? Right? Like, Lance Armstrong could have changed we know.
There was a time I watched Tour de France every year. Sure. And then all this came out. It's like, you know what? I can't watch it anymore.
Yeah, we know that Americans will change their position on a sport based on success or failure, right? We know that. That's a fact. Every sport that we love, we love winners. And Lance Armstrong had a chance to really take something off there and just kind of bailed on it. At ESPN, I love this text, though. I love this text. I became a Falcons fan because Michael Vick made football fun for me to watch. After the dog thing, not only could I not support that guy, but he left me a fan of the Falcons. So now I blame him for why I'm miserable by the end of every football season. Michael Vick still makes that guy depressed and disappointed because every day he has to wake up and think 28 to 3 times somewhere in there about the fact that he is a Falcons fan because of Michael Vick. And Michael Vick's way up on that list for a lot of people. I've what Michael Vick did was heinous. It was disgusting. And this is where Rob earns the title of, soft-hearted liberal loser, and that's fine. The old bleeding heart. I try to take into consideration people's life experiences and where they come from and how it might impact them, how cultural differences to what's acceptable to some people is not acceptable to others. Mike Vick was raised in a culture where dogfighting was prominent. I can tell you that as somebody who comes from an area where there are dogfighting rings busted up all the time. It's just part of the culture. It's not a good one. It's ugly. It's disgusting. It's gross. Mike Vick took his punishment. He got his slap on the wrist. He is still to this day, my understanding, doing stuff to work with animal shelters and rescues around the country to right that wrong. But yeah, at the time that it happened, Michael Vick was absolutely considered by many people to be the single most exciting football player in decades. And when he fell hard. No doubt about it. Somebody wants to add Chris Benoit to the list, Zoe. I have no issue with that. What a dark day in wrestling it was when we found out what happened behind the scenes with Chris Benoit. I mean, obviously, the guy ended up having ridiculous amounts of brain injuries because of his career. Doesn't excuse what he did, but it was a very sad day for wrestling when that happened.
Oh, for sure. And I still remember that the following Monday, Vince McMahon doing an entire,
at the time.
Vince McMahon did the entire tribute to him before you found out all the details. Yep. And I mean, that was rough.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a tough one. That was a tough one too for wrestling fans. At ESPN, Hurricane Jeff says Pete Rose, his so-called sins have kept him out of the Hall of Fame. That's such a tough one for me. It really is, mainly because I don't want to open up the can of does Pete Rose go in the Hall of Fame, because it's a pointless discussion to have. No one has ever changed their mind on that. But yeah, Pete Rose, Charlie Hustle, man, was a hero to many people. Blatantly violated the rules. Whether or not you agree that the rule was good or bad, he blatantly violated the rules. At ESPN, did you say liberal? Spits tobacco. Ding. Yes. I did not say I am a liberal. I'm saying this is when I get called one, when I try to assign some sort of deeper meaning than that guy's evil to an action that was partaken.
So that texter matched one stereotype with another.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Correct. See, he's an equal opportunity offender, though. He just took everybody down at the same time.
Oh, okay. That was clever.
He just took everybody down. All right, quick break. Back on the clock. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. Who is the athlete that fell from grace for you? That's question of the day. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
You ready? Get that texting finger limbered up. You could.
Yes, Lonzo, since you definitely did ask, I did watch today's episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier before we came on the air.
Yeah, but I have not. So
I'm not going to say anything about it.
But you know what? If you wanted to spoil, I'd be a little upset, but what could I do about it?
I'm not going to do that to you.
Because in the end, that would be on me for
one without a spoiler. There is one cameo that gets me very excited about that next handful of episodes.
Okay. I already know some people who are slated to appear on it, and there's only so many episodes left. There's only 6 episodes in the thing.
We're already halfway through it.
Yeah. As long as it improves every episode. The second episode was a lot better than the first episode. So if it continues to improve, that'd be great.
The third is better than the second.
Cool. So now I'm going to be concerned about something for the rest of the show.
And that
there's nothing I can do about it. I'm trying to get
right. It's not going to run again.
Right, and I'm trying to get clarification about some things, and I'm being met with.
I saw a text after the show yesterday, and I think you either use last week's days or using a day behind or something.
See, that sounds like a date issue, and that's why I need to know. And I'm looking through dates, and up until now, I haven't had any problems.
Right.
So, but until someone tells me that and remember, I'm doing them on 2 stations. So,
yeah. Are they? Aren't they the same on both stations though? I don't know.
Well, the recorded ones will play at different time.
Who knows? Who cares?
All right, there are certain hours over there where they play, certain hours over here where they play. There's only a couple that are happening at the same time.
Gotcha, okay.
I'm also putting in 55 a week. So, I mean, it's just,
Keegan said, can I get $1,000 anyway? I feel scammed. Keegan, you would need more than one of my paycheck to get that. All right, buddy?
I'd really like to delegate, but, I'm limited in where I can delegate right now.
Let's see. Not next one. No, I think 2 weeks. 2 weeks from Wednesday. 2 weeks from Wednesday. Let me check. No, 2 weeks from next Thursday will be my second shot, and I'm hoping that they'll let me come back after that.
We'll see. 30 seconds. You have QC Kinetics in the next break.
For upstate sports junkies.
These pathetic junkies? Oh, look at them.
You eat sports like food every day. Get hooked on the Rob Brown Show, noon to 3 every weekday on ESPN Upstate.
Radio.com is now Odyssey. Download the Odyssey app and listen to ESPN Upstate around the clock and all of your favorite music, news, sports, and podcasts on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Get the Odyssey app on all of your devices and make sure you don't miss a moment of programming. Plus, join us on the live stream at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, or on YouTube at The Rob Brown Show. Go to your YouTube app on your smart TV. You can search The Rob Brown Show right there on the TV and put the screen up in your place of business, in your home, wherever it is that you are. Make sure you download the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Coming up at 2 o'clock, Jay Busby. He's put up not one but 2 articles this week about ratings that are very, very interesting. One of them says that a poll was released earlier this week that a third of people who watch sports on TV say that they have decreased their watching time because of the social justice discussions that took place last year in sports. We're going to ask Jay to break that information down a little bit more for us. Plus, we'll talk about the the men's basketball tournament ratings, which have gone up. That's coming up around the corner. When we come back here in just a second, since we are so far off the clock, when we come back here in just a second, earlier this week, authorities said that they now know the cause of Tiger Woods' car accident from a couple of weeks ago, but they are not going to release it. I got some thoughts on that coming up in a few minutes. In the next hour, the NBA has a major problem, and there are some folks inside of the association that are starting to speak out about it, and I think that is a major, major problem for the NBA. We're going to address that. Plus, y'all, I have retired from the MMA before I even fought my first fight because of something that happened to one fighter this weekend. I'm going to tell you what that was and why you will also end your MMA career before it starts. Coming up here in just a few minutes. Let's take a real quick break. We'll come back, get back on the clock. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. Rob Alonzo, this is ESPN Upstate.
QC Kinetics.
Okay.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
There are those days where you get up out of bed and it just takes a minute to get going because those old basketball knees from your high school days, they just hurt, or your hips just from day-to-day life. It just, you got to stretch them out, or your shoulder from that baseball injury back in the day, that rotator cuff, it stings just a little bit. Well, my friends, that's why you need to call QC Kinetics and set up that free consultation today. QC Kinetics is here to help you feel better with non-surgical regenerative therapies. What they do, they take your body's natural healing capability, they enhance them, they accelerate them, and they maximize the efficiency of it, and they do it non-surgically, and the science backs it up. Go to QCkinetics.com, QCKINETIX, QCkinetics.com to learn more about how the science works and to hear testimonials from dozens and dozens and dozens of happy, satisfied customers of QC Kinetics. They can make you feel better, faster, naturally, without surgery. Check out their website, QCkinetics.com, QCKINETIX.com, QCkinetics.com, or give them a buzz today. Mention the Rob Brown Show. Get that free consultation and let QC Kinetics help you feel better. 864-448-3772, 864-448-3772. It's our friends at QC Kinetics in Greenville and Asheville.
I'm sitting here trying to guess what could happen in the MMA that would make you never, and I've narrowed it down to a couple things.
Okay, give me your best thoughts.
But I'm going to wait and see.
Okay. I mean, look, if you've seen it, it jumped out as your clubhouse leader. If you've seen what I'm talking about, there are no other stories that you're going to think it could be instead of that. My buddy just said that he's down at a Hooters in South Florida listening to us on the Odyssey app. And so him and a couple of his buddies and his dad, Lonzo, we are live in South Florida. How about that? Love to see it.
It's probably the only way I'll ever make it to Florida. So, yay. I've missed my window. So the next time, the next window that I can hit to go to Florida is when I'm 72 years old, because, that's the age when you're supposed to move that way.
It turns out, and this may shock you, you are allowed to go there before you retire. I know I think the people tell you the rules are you either have to be young going to Panama City on spring break or old and retiring to South Florida. You're allowed to go whenever you want.
No, see, that in between is when you take your kids to Disney or Epcot or something. And my kids are adults now. So I missed that window. Now I do have a grandkid though. So that's a reason to go there. But my beach time, I like going to the beach, but I don't, I've lost my, I still, the ocean, I still have a longing for the ocean. I just don't need to get in it anymore.
I've seen what people talk about when they talk about the ocean, Lonzo, but we don't have an ocean, my man. We have this. That is the beautiful Gulf of Mexico. There is Destin, Florida right there.
I just saw that in a movie.
Yes. So for the record, this is what Pier. In fact, I'll even go one step further. I will literally show you Pensacola Beach. This is Pensacola Beach. That's Pensacola Beach right there.
20 seconds. Yeah, it didn't look like that.
No, I haven't even seen the movie. That's Pensacola Beach. Right there. If Godzilla came ashore on Pensacola Beach, he would do about $80 in damage.
Lean on Molina.
Join the Rob Brown Lockdown on Twitter. Tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
844-GSP, ESPN is the number asking you the question. What athlete fell from grace hardest to you personally? That athlete that you had up on a pedestal and they fell out for you. Jason is on the line. Let's get Jason in here before we take our top of the hour break. Jason, thanks for taking a minute. Great to have you on the show, bud.
I appreciate that. I've got kind of a different take on this. This is really not with the athletes, but the sport. This has nothing to do with any of the athletes. And, the Olympics 2008, 2012, 2016, how much pride did we take in our women's gymnastics program?
Yeah.
Man, the domination of that, total domination. And just to see some of the coaches knowing what was going on, or at least at the very least, were in denial, did not want to look into anything. The coaches, whoever was over the whole program, this totally put a black eye on all that, and it's just, man, well, what a very sad state of affairs. It's something that could have easily been prevented. It could have been nipped in the bud, 30 years ago or whatever. So this USA Gymnastics really took a fall for me. So,
Jason, that is a tremendous point. Great take. Appreciate the phone call, bud. Great to have you on the show today. U.S. Women's Gymnastics, yes. I mean, after, and we know that there are countries like Russia and countries like China that, I mean, they groom these kids from legitimate babyhood to be gymnastics gold medalist winners. We had a U.S. Women's Olympics gymnastics team that was going and catching golds left and right. And since then, the stories of abuse, the stories of assault, the stories of harassment, the stories of discipline going up and way past acceptable levels has been very, very difficult to follow for anybody who is a fan. It has been painful. There have been dozens and dozens and dozens of young women that have come out and talked about the abuse and the harassment and the assault that they suffered during their time in U.S. Olympics. And it was, I don't know, man, it's just been painful. Jason's got a great point, Lonzo, because none of the athletes involved in this were in the wrong. It's the fact that the system was awful from the top down that makes that so disappointing.
Yeah, and it does make you look at the sport differently, and it's a shame because, again, it's not the athlete's fault, and they're awesome athletes and cannot wait every Olympics to watch them. But now when you watch, that's the first thing you're going to think of, and that's sad, instead of thinking of how good of a routine they just did or something like that. It's a shame.
Oh, yeah. And we've got some of the best Olympians of all time. Simone Biles out there is changing the game. There are moves that have been banned from international competition because Simone Biles could do it. Nobody else could. Gabby Douglas, Lori Hernandez, Allie Reisman, Michaela Skinner, and others. I mean, we've had some incredible gymnasts over the past couple of years. And the success of those gymnasts, we talked about Americans loving winners over the years. The success of those gymnasts has taken gymnastics to a top-tier sport. If you watch, for instance, the SEC Women's Gymnastics Championships over the last couple of years, they are filling out stadiums, man. They're filling up stadiums to watch the SEC gymnast go on because of the fact, and a lot of that, the foundation was built by U.S. gymnastics being as good as they were for a number of years. And then we saw all of this happen. And then we see all of this happen, the abuse, the harassment, the assault, the rape. And it's disgusting and it's disturbing. And like we said, it's none of it is the fault of the athletes. It's because of there are former Olympic gymnastic administrators, coaches, etc. There was one just a handful of weeks ago that committed suicide because he got caught. Great call, Jason. Thank you very much for bringing that up. Your 1 o'clock keyword for the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate is fame. Fame. F-A-M-E. Text that keyword to 72881. 72881. Text fame to 72881. Powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Text and data rates may apply in this national contest. Again, this hour's keyword is fame. Do it, Lonzo.
Fame. What's your name?
72881 is the number to text that word to for your chance to win a grand. Back after this with hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate. WYRD Green.
Fame. I'd say I kind of nailed that, if we're being honest.
Don't act surprised. You are a musician after all.
It's a very loose word. Very loose word for what I do on stage.
Art is subjective. So I did find one of the problems, but I don't know why I did it. And now I'm going to have to go back and check everything. Because the word you just said is what I said at noon, last hour. So.
Oh, so you're what, an hour off?
Could it be that was the only one? So now I'm just going to have to go figure it out. Now I'm going to have to go look at all 55 that I put in for next week and make sure that they're all right.
Unofficial Rob Brown
That's okay.
Lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. Our numero dos gets started right now. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776 is the number. Text us at 71307, 71307. The text line is open for you right now. Start your text with ESPN. Text ESPN to 71307 with your message. After it, we will read them on the air. Tweet us and follow the stream at twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, twitter.com/Lonzo one word, at Lonzo one word. And of course, all of us are rocking on the ESPN Upstate account on both social media, Twitter and Facebook. So twitter.com/ESPN Upstate, facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. Go to facebook.com/ESPN Upstate and click on that live stream. Join us. We've had Keegan's been in there, Steven's been in there, Ron's been in there, Brian's been in there, and a handful more. We want you to join in there. We have conversations off the air about everything in the world that you want to talk about. You guys help me pick segments, etc., etc. Story I wanted to get to real quick, Lonzo. I have decided to go ahead and retire from my MMA career. My time in the octagon, in the cage, is officially over. I have no desire to continue my career. I had a deep, deep passion for MMA as a fighter, but I've decided to go ahead and walk away. MMA fighter Khatag Pliyev, I hope I'm not butchering that name, Khatag Pliyev, had to have a finger surgically reattached, Lonzo, after it was severed completely off during the second round of a fight last night in Philadelphia. The fight was part of an event put on by Cage Fury Fighting Championship and aired on UFC Fight Pass. The fight was stopped when the referee noticed that Pliyev was, quote, missing his left ring finger. The fights had to be paused because for several minutes, those in the venue were searching for the stray finger. Event promoter Rob Haydack said officials looked all around the cage, and there was even an announcement over the PA system asking for people to look for it inside of the arena. Haydack said it was ultimately discovered that the finger had come off completely and then gotten lodged inside of Pliyev's glove. Pliyev told ESPN that he was taken to the ER and that the finger was reattached. He said the doctor told him he tore 50% of the tendon in his finger and that he'll probably need another procedure. His opponent, Devin Goodale, was ruled winner by TKO. Haydack said he entered the fight after the fight, or entered the cage after the fight was stopped, and Pliyev told him that the finger was dislocated in the first round and somehow, quote, came completely off in the second. It was unclear in the broadcast how that happened. Pliyev said Goodale kept holding his glove, which might have led to the finger detaching. He said, quote, in the second round, he caught my glove with one hand and held it. I felt my finger snap. He kept pulling my glove and my finger snapped. We kept fighting. When the second round was finished, I see my bone was out in the open. I wanted to keep fighting because I felt like I had the guy, but the doctors saw that and stopped the fight. Pliyev said he will appeal the fight result because of the illegal grabbing of his gloves by Goodale during the bout. Haydack said the CFFC will go through footage of the hope of airing exactly what happened on the promotions card on Friday night on Fight Pass. He said, quote, it was a surreal moment. I said, wait a second, where the blank is his finger? They were all like, I don't know. It was crazy. He didn't even flinch. He was getting ready to do the official decision. And I was like, guys, get him out of the cage and go put his finger back on. Pliyev is a 37-year-old Russian who competed in the 2012 Olympics as a wrestler for Canada, 5-1 in MMA, coming into the 180-pound catchweight fight on Thursday. Zoe, my dude's left ring finger got straight up ripped off.
See, when you were mentioning this last hour, and I'm my imagination, which can go all over the place, was thinking it was something totally different than a finger. It's only a finger. I'm okay with that. I thought we were
ripped off.
I thought we were going somewhere a little bit lower, and that would make it. the fact that dude wanted to keep fighting, I mean, he's saying I can beat you with 9 fingers. It's just that doesn't really bother me. It bothered him a little bit, only a little bit. He looked down and was like, "Where's my finger? I don't care. I'm beating this guy. I'm going." And it's not surprising that it was a Russian dude because they're pretty tough, and it's a hazard that you have to deal with. I thought it would have gotten caught in the cage, and that's what happened. So dude ripped his finger off.
Yes.
That's messed up. That's messed up.
He ripped his finger off, but Zoe, there is good news. On the other hand, he's okay.
Yeah. Wow. Dude.
Lonzo, on the other hand, he's okay.
Yes, I got it. I was trying to help you there by going past that. It was amazing, but so it's kind of a drive by. So if I didn't acknowledge it, maybe people would go, "Did he just say that?" That's what I was trying. That's how I'm covering the fact that I didn't catch it.
Here's my question, Zoe. His finger came off. Will he get severance pay?
Yes, he will. And yes, I got that one.
Severance pay?
I get it. I get it.
Severed off. You get it?
Yeah, I got it.
That's a good one.
So would you unretire if you had the opportunity to go into the octagon against a fellow employee? That's not on this program.
You know the correct answer to that is it depends on the employee, right?
All right.
You and I both know what the answer to that is.
Another host on this station.
I gotta tell you, I know we talk smack about him. I feel like Mark Ryan would be very scrappy. I feel like he would be very scrappy. Very scrappy.
No.
Very scrappy.
Mark has this problem with telling everyone where his weak spots are on the air, so everybody knows where they are. I mean, unless you're so confident that you're never going to have to worry about fighting, you don't tell everybody your weak spots. I mean, you just don't do that. So, but I think a finger coming off that just adds to the mystique of the sport. And to those who believe it's blood sport and it's just, those guys you're never going to satisfy anyway. But to people who are fans of the sport, they're probably like, yeah. And wouldn't you be disappointed if you're in there looking for a finger and it was in the guy's glove all the time? It's like, man, you wasted my time. I'm looking for a finger.
What if the other fighter looked at him and was like, dude, you're missing a finger. You're like, your hand's all messed up. And he looked at the guy and was like, hey, are you pulling my finger?
Does he have any more, ladies and gentlemen? Could there be any more?
There's there is one thing about fingers this guy can't say anymore. I can't count on him.
Now, as the guy who's rocking the dad kicks, all these jokes should be mine, but they're not. That's all I'm saying.
I got to tell you.
Are there pictures of this guy with the bone sticking out?
I haven't found one.
Yeah, I want to see that. I shouldn't want to see that.
For them.
Okay.
All right. I haven't started looking for them, and I don't know that I'm going to.
I gotta be careful how I word it if I'm going to go looking for it.
For the record, I am out of punts.
Are you sure?
Well, yeah, but I mean, let's be honest. I was only in the single digits. You want to go to break now so they can call me and tell me I'm fired, or should we go the last 3 minutes of this?
The boss is on vacation. I know he said.
That's true. All right. I'm probably okay.
I know he said he has the Odyssey app, but what's the chances he's listening right now? And if you're going off the air, he's going to text me first.
Look at the text my mother just sent me. Good Lord, stop.
I think your mom gives really good advice.
Oh. Give her a hand, ladies and gentlemen. We should go to break. I don't think I can rescue any of this. I just want to tell you in advance, though, that you're welcome for the easy promo material. My name is Rob Brown. Lonzo's back in the network studio in charge of everything except the puns, ladies and gentlemen. At ESPN, these jokes should be yours, Lonzo, but right now, the finger is pointed in Rob's direction. But I'm so proud of you, Texter.
The Rob Brown.
Wow!
Listen on your
God. So I've been doing this job 14 years. I think that's the first time I've ever been bullied to break. Oh, man. I'm an idiot, y'all. I am an idiot. Oh, thank you, Steven. That's too kind. My mother did not. She felt the need to point it out. Oh, I gotta stop. That wasn't even that good.
All these puns are pointless.
So I've been doing this job 14 years. I think that's the first time I've ever been forced pushed to a break.
I'm sure your mom's still proud of you.
See, did she text me again? She says, God, I hope you don't have any more. No, I think I've exhausted them. I think I'm out of finger puns. Beautiful, Stephen. Beautiful. Puns are the highest form of comedy, ladies and gentlemen. No, we're never done with puns. Never done with puns. I won't allow it. How many listeners did we lose during that segment, Lonzo?
Let's see. Out of 10, we lost 3.
The double leg takedown on his own show, ladies and gentlemen. I respect it.
You're into puns. I'm into self-deprecation. What can I say? "30 seconds.
He's not messing around. Real, unfiltered sports talk on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate.
I have been doing this job for 14 years. And ladies and gentlemen, that last segment was the first time that I have ever had a producer just say, nope, this guy's done, and push the button to go to break.
Wait a minute. You were
down in history.
You were still talking?
I had more puns, man.
You hesitated, and I'm doing my job. You said we're going to break. You hesitated, and I went to break. I would never, ever cut someone off on purpose.
I can't. I don't think I've stopped laughing since we went to break. Hey, well, all right. What the hell, man? While we're at it, since we're just having that kind of Friday, let's jump into it, shall we? There is a gentleman by the name of Bruce Drennan. Bruce Drennan is a sports talk host in Cleveland. And yesterday, the Cleveland Indians played their opening day game. Well, a caller called in, not happy with the results of the game. And there is a clip of Bruce Drennan. And Lonzo, I want you to tell me, when we are done with this little clip of sound, how much you've sometimes wanted to act and talk on the air like Bruce Drennan up in Cleveland. Here's how his radio show went yesterday.
You can just simply pitch around Ramirez, keep walking him, don't give him anything to hit. The next guy, the good pitches down the middle, he won't swing at, but the ball's down around his ankles. He hits the shortstop into a double play. This has been going on for 2 years.
Right. I guess you missed a lot of the games that Reyes hit in the clutch last year, huh?
No.
Oh, yeah. You're an idiot. You're an idiot and you don't know baseball. No, you are an idiot. Listen, you're going to tell me you are judging. You don't know anything. You don't know squat, you stupid idiot. You're going to tell me you're going to make a judgment on the season after one game in 30-degree weather? That proves what an ignoramus you are. Get off our show. Fair weather idiot. All right, we're going to move on here.
If that's not the best way to end that whole interaction. All right, well, we're going to move on here. He went full Jericho circa 2018 on him. You are an idiot. Get off my air. That's beautiful. So how often have you had a caller in your career that you've just wanted to let loose the cannons like Bruce Drennan just did?
You haven't heard me screen a call before, so there've been people like that, but I hate being skeptical here. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it, and I know I'm always the person who's not buying it. I think this was a setup call. Is this guy still on the air? Because I'm sorry, but if you do that on the air here, more than likely, that's not true. No, wait a minute. That's not true because just a week or so ago, I heard someone do something similar to that. So never mind. No. I forgot all about that. That's the price you pay if you call into a show, and you're going to get it given back to you sometimes, especially if that show is known for that. Since we've never listened to it, this may be how that guy interacts with all his callers. There may be people calling in just to be called an idiot, and not knowing enough about baseball, maybe the guy was an idiot. I don't call people idiots, though. I hate that word. I'll come up with something else.
I mean, he also went ignoramus.
There we go. See, that's just even though it's a few more syllables than I like to use, at least it sounds a little bit better. I don't want to sound hypocritical because I obviously, if you've listened to this show or on WRD, you've heard me angry on the air before, even recently. So it's not on this program though, but you've heard me angry on the air. So I can't act like it's never happened to me before, but I don't recall calling a caller a name like that.
Yeah, it's not in me. I'm not a confrontation guy. Not a confrontation.
I can be pushed.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, I can. And I will fire back if necessary. I have had worse conversations than that screening a call before. I've had people call back multiple times demanding that I put them on the air on the other station when they were not on topic, and they're cussing up a storm. And so to the point where there was a time where we almost had to get police involvement because they were calling every single day and doing that. So I've dealt with irate people before, but that guy was nice and calm. Even after he called him an idiot, he didn't call him a name back. Did you notice that?
I don't know.
He just said he defended himself. I'm not an idiot.
Yeah. Once old Bruce started laying in him there, the caller just kind of started. It's
just
what he said.
It's just not my kind of radio, I guess.
Yeah, it's not mine either. I think in my career, 14 years now, I think I probably popped off on somebody that like that twice, and it was never. Like it wasn't ever really about sports. It would always be, it would always be some kind of like atrocious take. I know I had one guy that went not like thinly veiled to where we would have a discussion about whether or not the thing that he said was racist, but like a full out actual, like my mom texted me like, wow, kind of racist guy. And then there were, I don't remember, I think there was one, maybe two more that's happened to, but it's never about sports, right? Like it's never about sports that I get into that fight with people. Now I'll like jokingly be like, dude, you're crazy. Get out of here. Right. Like I'll hit him with that, but that my man, Bruce, and I'll pop the video up on the Twitter feed. My man, Bruce turned about 6 shades of red while he was screaming. I don't know if that's because old Brucey baby is, not in the best shape of his life, and he just got winded screaming that guy was an idiot for a minute and a half.
Yeah, if you get tired after that conversation, you might want to look into some weight loss, possibly, or some blood pressure medicine, something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a little rough. It was a little rough for old Brucey baby, but he got through it. He pushed through it. He made sure that guy knew he thought he was an idiot. He made sure he knew it.
And there may also be something else going on behind the scenes. If the people out there haven't seen our text line, sometimes people can be very brutal to the point where sometimes maybe your skin isn't being very thick on a certain day and you just kind of snap. So, like, let's say, for example, if you were called Tinky Winky like every single day, eventually you might actually snap.
My goodness, Zoe, I could not imagine my reaction if that was a thing that happened to me.
I know, because
I just couldn't live with it.
But you're good natured and you can handle that kind of ribbing. So I don't see you getting angry over something like that.
ESPN, it was a setup call. That's from Clay. Clay says he's with you, Zoe. He thinks it was a set. I don't think it was a setup call. I think the
I'm going to let you on a little trade secret here. There are services that will provide calls. So there are times maybe you're listening to a station that you think it's real and it's not. And
really,
yeah. And to me, it just didn't. And I agree with Ron. I think it is. Or someone on there who it's Ron, who said he slipped into that a little too easy. Gut feel it is his shtick, which it could be.
Or is the guy just got a temper on him? I've known plenty of radio dudes. I've worked alongside plenty of radio dudes that they kind of slip into that. I mean,
this guy could be
that can be part of your personality too.
Well, it could be, and this guy could be a stat guy, and he's awful defensive of the baseball player. I mean, I haven't heard anybody get that angry about baseball. I get it about football, I get it about basketball, but it's baseball, dude. That's the most excitement in that entire game.
If only there weren't 161 more games to go.
Was that including playoffs? I don't know.
No, that's regular season. 162 game regular season this year.
All right.
I hope, I mean, they did lose that game yesterday. I hope they have time to get their heads right and come back for a comeback, Second place in the division after day one. I hope they're going to be okay.
Yeah. You think that guy calls back he's probably already called back today.
That dude called back when he got hung up on. That's why I don't think it's a shtick. So you and I have had that caller. Because I'll tell you, I think you're wrong or I disagree with you without being a jerk about it. I can't tell you how many times I've had a call and it's gotten over and I've gone, hey, man, look, we disagree. Have a good day. And then 10 seconds later, it happened with Diesel. Zoe has it because Zoe just isn't going to, I mean, you get a call a day. That's the game. But at my old station, I would get texts from the producers that would go, hey, Bill, that you just said was wrong, is back and wants to come back on the air again 35 seconds later. It's like,
by the way, we have a policy here. You can't go on more than once per show. And even if sometimes I will allow, I know how this sounds. Sometimes
executive orders.
Sometimes I will allow the host to do it, but the rule is you can only be on once per show. Now there are things like if there's a contest and you were just on for a contest and you call back and you want to talk on topic, that's different. But if you've been on, even if you got hung up on, sorry, that's what tomorrow's for. And I believe in sticking to the rules and towing that company line. That's me all the way.
All right, 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307. Start your text with ESPN. Another text that came in about Zoe pushing me to break last segment. Texter says, so Rob, did Lonzo give you the finger? It's never gonna end. It's never gonna end.
See, now I'm gonna feel bad like the rest of the day because I thought you went to break. I seriously didn't do it. I don't know if that lessens it for you, but there was a big hesitation.
In fairness, Lonzo, I am sure that there was no shortage of listeners that were like, thank God, Lonzo, thank you. Thank you for putting us out of the misery. Thank you.
You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to blame that person who came in the room to give me news while I'm doing a live program that messed with my head to the point that I'm not paying attention like I should be about something that I could fix later. And I'm going to blame them.
Fair enough. I'm always for blaming somebody else. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute. The NBA
Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Yeah,
I made a career out of it, buddy.
No, are you sure we're taking a break?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So make sure, because I don't want to push the button too early this time.
When we come back, the NBA has a major problem, and some inside the association are starting to speak out about it. It is something the NBA is going to have to address sooner rather than later. But will they? Lonzo, push the button.
Your chance to bank $1,000 in the $1,000 cash stash is coming just before sports.
Did I really do that? Now I feel like you're just messing with me, and I'll never know.
I wouldn't dare.
Although I could go back and watch it on the Facebook feed and see your reaction when it happened. I humbly apologize, and I'll see if I can get someone in so I can, leave early. Oh, wait, I don't have anybody.
I never leave early, Zoe, because I never leave my workplace.
Well, there is that.
I feel like I'm going to be so super pumped to get back to the studio, Zoe, to get back to work. And then within like 4 days, I'm going to miss working from home.
I doubt that. I seriously doubt that. I think there may be other people that way. I think you'll just be happy to be out and have some freedom and be able to be in the wonderful atmosphere that's not only ESPN Upstate, but our office. To be in there to share time with me has got to brighten your day.
Obviously, Zoe. Whose day wouldn't it brighten?
All right, so I guess that's mistake number 2 for me today. And I just won't recover.
See, I subscribe to the Bob Ross school of thought, which is there are no mistakes. There are only happy little accidents, buddy.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that you liked happy trees, but okay.
I think Bob may have meant that differently than we thought.
Twisted Todd down the hall at 93.3 The Planet told me that the reason why Bob Ross's fro was so big is because he didn't like to get his hair cut, just like me.
You and Bob Ross, kindred spirits. Who knew?
I do have a Bob Ross t-shirt. I haven't worn that in a while. I'm going to have to find that. And I have a Bob Ross pop. I went out in search of it when the first Bob Ross pops came out because I wanted one. And I have it.
I have somewhere, and I haven't found it since I moved here. I got so much stuff I just lost since I moved here. I had Zoe a Bob Ross. It was a little Bob Ross easel, and there was a little button on it, and when you pushed the easel, Bob Ross gave you an inspirational quote to live by.
Man, I need that today.
Oh, it was unbelievable. It was a gift somebody gave me years ago. And, man, it was one of my favorite things. I can't tell you, I wore the batteries out on it multiple times. Because there's never a bad time for a Bob Ross inspirational quote.
Yeah, all we have in here is a Dickie V bobblehead that has Dickie V quotes. I mean, I guess I could settle for that.
The type of dandy.
One minute and Prisma in the next break.
Outstanding, James.
So there's a character in Suicide Squad called Arm Fall Off Boy. Okay.
He's got one power, Zoe.
So what do you do with that? You can't even pick one arm up and throw it. And why would you put that guy on your team?
I'm sitting here trying to come up with a good arm pun, and I don't have one off the top of my head. I used all my puns up back in that last segment.
Call 844-GSP-ESPN. Text keyword ESPN and your message to 71307. Get in the game on the Rob Brown Show. Only on ESPN Upstate.
It is the Rob Brown Show here on ESPN Upstate. The cause of the accident involving Tiger Woods, about 5 weeks ago now, has been determined by the LA County Sheriff's Office, but they say they will not share the cause of the accident unless Tiger Woods signs off on it. The LA County Sheriff's detectives say they did determine after looking through the black boxes. I didn't know they put black boxes in cars. I thought that was just in the planes, but
it's beyond our financial ability.
It's enrichable cars.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
They cited unspecified privacy concerns for the Gulf Star. Sheriff Alex Villanueva told the AP during a live social media event that, quote, a cause has been determined, the investigation has concluded, end quote, but said that he would need permission from Woods, who previously named his yacht Privacy, to release information about the crash, according to ESPN. Later that day, the Sheriff's Department attempted to clarify that position, saying in a statement on Twitter that the, quote, release of accident reports is governed under California Vehicle Code Section 2012. When we are able, we intend to release the information learned during the traffic collision investigation involving Tiger Woods. Tiger suffered serious injuries in the accident when he struck a raised median around 7 a.m. in Rolling Hills Estate outside of L.A. The SUV he was driving crossed through two oncoming lanes and uprooted a tree on a downhill stretch that police said is known for accidents. Woods remains in Florida recovering from those injuries. Villanueva has been criticized for his comments about the crash, calling it, quote, purely an accident, end quote, and saying there was no evidence of impairment. Woods told deputies he did not know how the crash occurred and didn't remember driving. He was unconscious when a witness first approached the SUV, but a sheriff's deputy said the athlete later appeared to be in shock, but was conscious and able to answer basic questions. The initial statement from the sheriff's deputy has been cited as a reason investigators did not seek a search warrant for Woods' blood samples, which could have been screened for drugs and alcohol. In 2017, Woods checked himself into a clinic for help in dealing with prescription medication after a DUI charge in Florida. Detectives, however, did obtain a search warrant for that data recorder, aka the black box. Villanueva did not say and would not say what data had been recovered from that box. Villanueva said, quote, we have reached out to Tiger Woods and his personnel. There's some privacy issues on releasing information on the investigation, so we're going to ask them if they waive the privacy, and then we will be able to do a full release on all the information regarding the accident, end quote. You know, so I was looking at this, I was talking about it, and it comes down to Tiger has a right to privacy just like everybody else. And the folks who want the information released, who want to know if there was indeed any drugs or alcohol that impaired Tiger's ability to safely operate a vehicle, they want it released because they want to be able to make a judgment call on Tiger Woods. And I'm not saying that's wrong, and I'm not saying it's unfair, but your desire to make a judgment call on Tiger Woods does not outweigh Tiger's right to privacy. Now, do I think that the sheriff's office probably should have done some sort of toxicology report on Tiger to find out if he was indeed driving impaired? Sure. Just like I do with anybody who is seen operating a vehicle in an unsafe fashion that leads to the belief that impairment may be a factor, of course. But, I don't know. As far as I'm concerned with this, Alonzo, I mean, this is it's not. I mean, it is a sports story in that it involves an athlete, but it's not really a sports story. So I don't know how much else or what else we would need to or even should say about it. Can
you get a FOIA on this? Is it possible for?
I don't think on vehicle accident reports in California are covered by FOIA or Sunshine State laws. I don't believe they are covered that way. I would suspect NOZO, because you gotta believe that if they were, you'd have had journalists in LA that would have had the accident report seconds after it was filed.
Yeah, you're right. I wonder if, because it was a single car accident, even if you could get one, it has to have consent from the person in the accident. If there would have been someone else involved, maybe it was possible. By the way, I looked this up because I wanted to know. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has been using black boxes for car accident data since early in 2000s. If your car is from 2013 or later, you are almost guaranteed to have a black box. Less than 5% of new cars came without one in 2013, and they are mandated in all new vehicles since 2014. So if you have a car that's from 2014 to now, you have a black box in it.
Well, I have learned something today. So anyway, that's interesting. That's interesting. And certainly a segment for a different show on a different format. But yeah, I will end it. I don't think there's a ton more to get into with the Tiger Woods story. If Tiger decides to release the black box, we'll learn. If he doesn't, his right to privacy does not supersede our desire to form an opinion about what happened. And this is one of those times where, and people, I've said this phrase. I didn't take the phrase. I borrowed the phrase from who was it? One of the Ryan brothers. Was it Rex Ryan? I think a number of years ago. And I think Pat Riley used to say it too. I think, Pat Riley, I think, was the one that started it, but I've heard athletes use it. One of my favorite phrases in life, Lonzo, and I'm saying this non-sarcastically, it is a phrase that has helped me more than anything anybody else has ever said to me, is the phrase, it is what it is. Sometimes it just is what it is. It doesn't mean it's good. It doesn't mean it's fair, but it does mean that there are some times where it just is what it is. And with the Tiger stuff, this is what it is. If that accident happened in Florida, we would likely know a lot more about it, but it happened in California. Tiger has his right to privacy. That does not supersede our right to have an opinion about what happened. It is what it is. So anyway, not much else to say about that. If you have thoughts, you're welcome to express them, but I don't know what we could add. Quick break. My name is Rob Brown. Lonzo's back at the helm. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Rob, Lonzo, and you on ESPN Upstate.
Prisma.
Yep.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
Prisma Health around the Upstate. They are the official healthcare providers for the athletic departments of the South Carolina Gamecocks and the Clemson Tigers. Why? Because those two very prominent college programs recognize that they need the best healthcare available for their players to keep them healthy, to keep them on the field, to keep them performing at their best, and they go with Prisma. And if the Gamecocks and Tigers, who, from my short time here in the Upstate, I've experienced, don't agree on anything at all ever for any reason, but they do agree on the official healthcare provider for their athletic department and all of their athletes, don't you think you could trust them to be the official healthcare provider of you and your family as well? I do. That's why I go to Prisma Health when I have my healthcare issues, and you should do the same. Check out their website at prismahealth.org, prismahealth.org. On their website, you can find a location convenient to you. You can search their more than 2,400 healthcare providers within their network to find the doctor that's right for you and your family that you trust. You can schedule an appointment right there on the website to get the healthcare that you need. Go to prismahealth.org, prismahealth.org. It's Prisma Health right here in the Upstate. All right, another segment in the books, ladies and gentlemen. About to wrap up hour number 2. Those of you on the stream, first off, hello, welcome, great to have you. I'm Rob, nice to meet you. Thanks for watching, thanks for viewing. If you have, I've got some topics for the 4th hour, but if you have any topics here that you think are on-air worthy you want us to discuss, drop them in the comments section. I'll let you guys program the next segment, see what you come up with, see if you got any good ideas. It's Friday. We're not taking everything too seriously here. So here's your opportunity. Steven, I did watch today's episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier. I did watch it while I was doing show prep, so I probably need to go back through it one more time again. It's good. It's good. There's a really good cameo in there that kind of sets up episode 4, which I'm pretty excited about. Solid fight scene in the middle, which I really enjoyed. So, yeah. Yeah, it was good, man. I liked it. It's far less... I don't know what word to use here. It's far less. It makes you do less detective work than WandaVision did, where you're trying to figure out where the punches are coming. I mean, they're not exactly heavily disguised punches in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but the action's good. I'm liking the story so far.
1 minute.
And there's a couple of moments of character development that I really liked.
That 30 seconds.
10-4.
Hey, Rob can read. So he says. Email Rob Brown at ESPNUpstate.com and we'll put him to the test. This is the Rob Brown Show. Local sports talk on ESPN Upstate.
Wrapping up hour number 1 of the Rob Brown Show right here on ESPN Upstate. A Yahoo article put out by Evan Blyer earlier this week brought me to the belief that, hey, the NBA has got a problem. Star center Andre Drummond signed with the LA Lakers on Sunday after being bought out by the Cavaliers, and apparently some small market NBA teams are starting to talk out about their concerns about how buyouts are affecting the competitive landscape of the league. So a buyout, it's something that takes place annually after the trade deadline. It's kind of unique to the NBA. A player will agree to take a pay cut to the remainder of his contract and then be released so he can sign with another team, usually a contender, for shortened money. In addition to Drummond signing with the Lakers following a buyout, the Brooklyn Nets snagged, obviously, forward Blake Griffin a couple of weeks ago. Detroit Pistons star LaMarcus Aldridge from the Spurs. So with Griffin and Aldridge added to the lineup, Brooklyn is now, Yahoo uses the phrase, theoretically, I will not. It's a straight-up all-star team when they're fully healthy. Irving, Durant, Harden, Aldridge, Griffin. That's an all-star lineup. The Lakers are arguably going to have the best front court in the entire NBA with the former Cavs at center and Anthony Davis at power forward and LeBron James playing small forward. This system within the NBA is a system that allows the rich to get richer and on the cheap. For instance, Andre, whose actual salary this season is $28.8 million. His salary is $28.8 million. Zoe, take a guess at what the Lakers are going to be responsible for paying him out of that $28.8 million.
Listen, I get who you can get, go where you can go. I feel bad for the small market teams, but they just have to deal with it.
So then you don't feel bad for them?
I don't.
Okay. The Lakers are going to be playing out of the $28.8 million this contract this year. Andre is going to get paid the 0.8 by the Lakers. A team executive working in a small market told Sports Illustrated, quote, without a doubt, players that are entering the buyout market will only be looking at contending teams. And most of the time, historically, their preference has been to go to the teams in the bigger markets. And it gives teams an opportunity to sit back and add players on minimum deals that they normally wouldn't be able to acquire. Yahoo Sports Blyer writes, quote, for a league that has already had some questions about the competitive balance due to prevalence of so-called super teams like the Nets, buyout season creates even greater concerns about whether all teams have an equal chance of making and advancing in the playoffs. But as it is usually star-packed teams like the Lakers and Nets who benefit from buyouts, the NBA is in no rush to change the system as it results in increased opportunity for marketing and is good for ratings. Another small market exec told Sports Illustrated, quote, the way you know the NBA doesn't think it's a problem is that they're reticent to acknowledge that it's been a problem. The inaction tells you we're cool with it, end quote. Zoe, I think I have found a spot that you and I disagree on, right? And it's interesting because, as an Ohio kid, I actually don't know. I haven't actually asked you before how much, if at all, you follow, for instance, Cavaliers basketball, right?
I did follow, but not till LeBron was there.
Right. And have you followed since LeBron left?
No.
And that's exactly the point.
Either time. When LeBron left the first time, I started following Miami. When he came back, I followed again. Now that he's gone, I still follow them on Twitter. So does that count? I haven't unfollowed them just because LeBron's no longer there.
No.
Well, technically, it's still
When's the last Cavs game you watched? When LeBron was there?
When LeBron was there.
23 years ago?
Or,
doesn't count.
Maybe the last time LeBron played them.
Right. Doesn't count. Here's what I'm saying. You just kind of proved my point for me in a way. When the Cavaliers had an NBA superstar and a good team, Lonzo would go out of his way to watch Cavs games.
Yeah, but Cleveland is not a small market team.
Cleveland in the NBA is a small market team.
Yeah, but Cleveland's a fairly large city.
That's cool. They're a small market team. Cleveland's fairly. New Orleans is a fairly large city. It's a small market team. San Antonio, decent sized city, small market team. San Antonio got lucky. Not only did they have Pops, but they ended up with a bunch of character guys like Tim Duncan and David Robinson and Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker that did care more about winning championships than being brands.
So it sounds to me, small market to you is any team that's not in New York or California.
Or LA or Chicago to some degree. But yeah. Yes, okay. Absolutely.
So there are a lot of small market teams.
Yes. And look where the players congregate. Where do they congregate? They congregate in
but
LA.
See, that's the players congregate wherever their best chance to win is, where the big star is.
But
that's the way the NBA is. They'll jump around. Now, if one of those stars were to go to a small market team and stay there, you consider Cleveland a small market team. Remember, LeBron was able to get some guys to come there because he was there.
And there was parity in the league until he jumped ship. Now, let me be clear about this.
So you're putting all the blame on him.
One more thing, and then I'll turn it over. Let me be clear about this. I am not talking about players who play out their contract and then sign a contract to go to the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm talking about players who take the buyout option, end up having their small market team pay them, and they go to Los Angeles. I'm talking about LaMarcus Aldridge with San Antonio. I'm talking about Andre Drummond out in Los Angeles, who's getting $800,000 from the Lakers to put an all-star center on a team that didn't have one, while his old team is on the hook for millions of dollars for him. The buyout is a garbage tool in the NBA, and it decreases parity where teams like Milwaukee and New Orleans and Cleveland could be in the mix. But when guys can just take a buyout and go, nah, this sucks, I'm out, I'm going to go let the Lakers pay me nothing on the dollar, you can keep paying me while I go win them a title, it is one tool that is too powerful for the players.
But Cleveland could have stopped it, couldn't they? They didn't have to allow his buyout. They could have told him that he had to play out his contract. So that's on Cleveland. That's not on LA. It's not on the big market team. It's on that team that goes, okay, you don't want to be here, then go ahead and go. You know what? They're beholden to you. They signed a contract with you, your team. Keep them there, whether they want to play or not. That's on you, especially if you're going to have to pay them. Why let them go? So that's on the small market team. That's not on the big market team. It's not their fault.
It is to some degree, but I think Zoe, that you are overestimating the amount of power that teams have over this, right? Like if in the NBA, maybe even more so than like a Houston. In the NBA, if a player says he wants out, he's getting out. They have 95% of the power. In fact, I'd argue it's probably the one sport where I think the players have more power than the owners in some cases, and this is an example of that. We'll talk more about that later on in the show, but you need your keyword for your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. Your word this hour is snow. 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 Text that keyword to 72881. 72881 for your chance to win $1,000. Powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Text SNOW. SNOW to 72881 for your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. Jay Busby joins us on the other side of the break right here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD Green.
All right, I'm going to give you his number. He has not responded to my text, so if he doesn't answer, it just is what it is.
Do you send me the number?
I'm pulling up my Facebook right now.
Okay, I just haven't got it yet. All right.
There you go.
Jay, standing by.
Perfect. Thank you.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Locked down!
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show is right here on ESPN Upstate. What's up, South Carolina? Great to be back with you one more time. Again, I am Rob Brown. Lonzo back in the network studio, pushing the button, switching the switches, making the show sound as good as it does today. And to the phone lines, a gentleman that I have called a friend off the air despite his repeated efforts to make me stop. A young man I've had on my show many times, and it's a pleasure every single time. Jay Busby from yahoosports.com joins us here on the show. Jay, my man, it's been too long. How you feeling, brother?
What's going on, my man? How are you?
Living the dream, partner. Living the dream. I have been working on my couch, Jay. We did the math. It's been a year and a week since I started working from home. There is a firm dent placed right in the middle of the couch at this point, and I don't hate it for a second, man. Not for a second.
Yeah, we've all of you guys have gotten used to what I've been doing for, decades now. That's the thing is those of us who worked at home before the pandemic were like, well, wait a second, what do we get to do? What's different for us? We just got to do more of this stuff here. So, yeah, welcome to our world. Welcome to our land of TV in the middle of the day and cereal for lunch and frequent naps.
The good news is, Jay, nobody frowns on me having mimosas at work because nobody knows until this exact second in my life.
Exactly. Yes. You can drink on the job anytime you want.
Allegedly, which there's a lot of power in that word. Jay Busby joins us here on the show. So Jay, I wanted to get you on because we obviously we read the article that you had on Yahoo Sports earlier in the week about the YouGov/Yahoo Sports survey that surveyed, if I recall correctly, around 1,600 people around the country. That said 30% of them said that the social justice protest from the summer of 2020 decreased the amount of sports that they had watched. Jay, what was your response? Because, if you would have told me it was 18-20%, I would have thought that would have been fairly accurate. But to hear that 1 out of 3 fans decreased their sports because of it, it shocked me. Did you have the same reaction?
Well, not really, because the way that the poll was structured, it was more a question of behavior rather than action. And, I would be surprised if everybody's, or if a whole lot more people's behavior didn't change in some small way. We didn't judge or we didn't survey based on how much they turned away. So bear in mind, this does not mean that a third of sports fans turned it off completely. There might have been someone who said, you know what, hey, the NBA is not for me. I prefer sport X or whatever. But I do know, I can tell you just absolutely from our anecdotal evidence, we get emails and comments all the time. There's a huge number of people that just do not want any politics anywhere near their sports. And it doesn't matter the explanation. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to listen. They just want their sports to be sports.
Jay Busby from Yahoo Sports joining us here on the program. Last year we saw, Jay, to me anyway, an unprecedented change in the behavior of some leagues and organizations in terms of allowing their players to have the freedom to go out and be advocates, to go out and be spokespeople, but also to bring that into the game itself with them knowing that, all right, let's not say that a third have turned it off, but have just decreased the value. When you put that next to the fact that the NBA ratings, for instance, since they were kind of the front runner in all of this, with the NBA ratings suffering as much as they did last year, some of it because of the pandemic, some of it because of the messaging, are we going to see organizations like the NBA, the NFL, maybe take a step back? Or is there going to be maybe they just stay silent, let the players do? I mean, how do you respond to this if you're Adam Silver or Roger Goodell?
Well, those are two completely different questions because they're two completely different leagues in the sense that they're both fundamentally governed by money. Let's be straight up about it. And the NBA may have a reputation. It's the favorite of basketball bloggers that think that their league is somehow more enlightened than other leagues. It's not. They're all governed by money. Every single one of them. Some of them just do a better job of hiding it than others. But if there is money in it, then they will continue to do it. And I don't mean to be completely crass because there is some sort of social awareness and some sort of social responsibility that they know of. But if it is a money loser, then they will stop doing it and they will do it quietly. They will not make a big statement and say, hey, we're not allowing any more public statements. They'll just do it quietly. But here's the key point. These guys and ladies that run this are not idiots. They're not fools. They see a lot of times which way the wind is blowing and they make the judgment that, hey, if we go in a more progressive direction, yes, we will lose some of our fans who lean more conservative. Yes, we will lose some of our fans who are older, but we will gain more of our fans who are younger and who are more progressive. And so, if you happen to be a fan who's older or more conservative, you can feel left out. And I certainly understand that. But the leagues have made the decision in some cases to skew to that younger, more progressive element. And if you're on the wrong side of that, it can feel disorienting. I know.
Jay Busby from YahooSports.com joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. We've had the demographic breakdown conversation in the past. Young people seem to be watching fewer sports not as connected. I think that's less because sports are doing anything wrong, but more just the amount of entertainment resources available has intensified repeatedly and in exponential fashion over the years. Does there seem to be any sort of demographic breakdown in young people maybe watched more? I know there was some level of folks, I think 10, 11% in that study that said they watch more. Did you guys find a way to break this down or did YouGov find a way to break this down demographically to see if it was impacting maybe older folks watching less, but younger folks watching more?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the study results right in front of me, but that's generally the way that it trended, was that younger people didn't have as much of an issue because to them, social awareness has been part of the fabric of their lives for much more than fans who were in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and on up from there. So they're much more used to that. They're much more accustomed to it. They don't see this kind of separation of church and state. They don't see the separation of sports and politics as being something that worries them. They're okay with their athletes having a voice. They're okay. Now, what's interesting is that I think we both know that athletes almost always that are outspoken express a progressive, a left side viewpoint. It would be interesting to see how supportive fans who are all for athletes speaking out, how supportive they'd be if all of a sudden an athlete started talking about gun rights or started talking about pro-life causes or things that are traditionally conservative. Suddenly you might see some people who have supported one side not support the other. That's just human nature, and that's politics. You're all for it when it's on your side, but generally it does tend to skew younger. The younger viewers have less of a problem. They're not going to immediately go and reach for the remote or reach to click to another website once they see some expression of politics.
Jay Busbee joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. You can follow him on Twitter at JAYBUSBEE. Jay Busbee writes for covers national sports for Yahoo Sports. You can find his work on that site. So we talked about the reaction from the league, and yes, I 100% agree. This is a world that is dictated ultimately by money, but there is the argument. We hear this phrase thrown out a lot when we're talking about should college payers be played, and that is without the athletes, there isn't a product. Nobody's paying $99 a year to get all access pass to watch old guys like me play basketball down at the Y. We want to see the best in the world do it. If the NBA, the NFL, MLB even decide to start pulling back and maybe kind of not censoring but limiting the phrasing and discussion athletes are allowed to have while they play the game, while they're on the court, while they're on the field, while they're on the sideline, etc. Do you think there would be pushback from the athletes that would do damage the way that there has been pushback from fans?
No, because for the athletes, there's not a whole lot of other options. There's not a competing NFL. There's not a competing NBA where you could have the same level of exposure. It works both ways, and that's not to say that the athletes are prisoners. But if they are looking to maximize their brand, then they have a choice: either play by the rules or not. And the most obvious example of that is Colin Kaepernick. He decided that it was more important to him to take his knee, not to take his stand, to take his knee, than it was to just knuckle under and play the NFL's game. What's been the result? Boom, he's out of a job. He's been out of a job. Now, I think that at this point, you'll still hear people say Kaepernick should have a job. At this point, he's 5 years since he played football, since he played professional football. I don't think he's in NFL shape, but you would have to be a deluded fool to think that he was not NFL ready back in 2017, 2018. He was absolutely NFL ready. And because of the baggage that he brought with him and because he was determined to hold on to his own personal beliefs, he didn't get a job. So that's what athletes will see. And there may well be some that say, you know what, screw it. It's not as important to me to make money as it is to speak my mind. But I think the vast majority of them would see what the leagues were laying down and would look in another direction.
Jay Busbee from YahooSports.com joining us here on the program. Was there any takeaway? And obviously I saw the question that was asked. I saw the statistics that you put. I don't know how much further the breakdown of that study went that maybe you got to see. Was there anything that jumped out to you as far as the responses from fans went? Was there anything shocking? Was there anything surprising that was a big takeaway for you?
Well, not really. I mean, it tends to break down along expected lines in the sense that older people and more conservative people tend to lean one way, and younger and more progressive people tend to lean the other way. We broke it out by Trump and Biden voters, and you can guess how that went. So, the most significant thing that I would point out is that there is a substantial number of people who actually said that they watch more sports as a result of the social justice. So, I mean, what you find a lot of times, and I see this all the time, where people will say, this is what I believe. Everybody I know believes this as well. I can't believe anybody would believe anything different. Well, the truth is, we're a big country. We've got a whole lot of diverse viewpoints. And just because you, not you, Rob, but you, hypothetical person, doesn't know anyone that believes differently than you, doesn't mean those people aren't out there. And the vast majority, the biggest percentage of people was the people that didn't change things at all. They were like, okay, well, fine. That's how it's going to be now. I'm more interested in sports than I am in making a statement about politics, either pro or con. So, as significant as it is that a third of sports fans tuned out, I think it's equally significant that 2/3 either did not or started watching more, because we trend toward the negative. We want to view the negative. But the truth is that a whole lot of people really don't mind politics in their sports.
The ratings discussion, Jay, that we had, especially about the NBA after the NBA Finals last year, where they were down some 37% in the ratings. I came on the air at a time and I said, look, this is, to me, I'm sure that there are some percentage of people that tuned out because of the messaging, but this is the pandemic. This is the presidential election. This is all sorts of unrest around the country because of a lot of different national issues that have put sports into perspective for all of us. And I think they are still fighting that battle to some degree. I'll be really interested to see what the opening day numbers come out for baseball are. But you put out a follow-up article a couple days ago that said that college basketball's March tournament, which I have argued for years may be America's favorite sporting event, those ratings actually came up a little bit from the 2019 tournament. Where do you put the credit for that, if you do?
Well, a little bit of it is apples and oranges, because some of the games were played in prime time rather than being played on Thursday. And obviously you're going to get more viewers in prime time on a weekend than you are on a Thursday afternoon. So there is a bit of that. But, once you start to average things out, the numbers are starting to come back. And I think that, the little smart-ass example that I always use is people want to say that it's politics or whatever because of for the ratings decline. But the Kentucky Derby declined by 2/3, and I do not recall any horses kneeling for the anthem before the race. So, it's you can come up with all kinds of ideas, but I think you hit it right. It's the pandemic. It was the presidential election. It was the calendar. It was the fatigue. I mean, I'm a sports writer, and even I, at times last year, was not completely engaged in sports because I had life and death concerns on my mind. So I think that what the numbers from March Madness show, and both men's and women's have some nice bumps, is that we're starting to get back to normal. We're starting to see things where they were before all of this hit. And I think that we'll start to see these numbers come back more and more. So, as you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of changes in viewing habits, but I think that everyone pretty much in sports is writing off 2020 as an aberration and not taking anything from it.
Jay Busby is a national writer for Yahoo Sports. He is a friend of mine, friend of the program. We are glad to get him back on. Jay, my man, I appreciate your time as always. What's next? I know you guys had are gearing up for Olympics coverage. Are you going to be one of the lucky few that gets to go to Tokyo?
Well, I was going to, but unfortunately, I have a son who is headed off to college and did the real immense disrespect of being born in 2003, and therefore I have to take him to college this fall. So I have to choose that over him. You believe that?
You know what? I got to tell you, if you're telling me you're taking your own children over Tokyo, Jay, I don't know who you are as a person anymore.
I know. I will not let him feel. Well, it's going to be weird. I mean, I don't know how much time we have, but man, it is going to be weird in Tokyo for the media. They're going to be completely locked down. It's not going to be quite the fun Olympic trips that I've been on in the past. This is going to be a very much a lockdown, quarantine sort of trip. So I'm not entirely sad to be missing this one.
Yeah, it's I've talked to people who have covered the Olympics in other countries, and they all say, look, it's work when you're working, but it's a party when you're not. But with Japan locking out foreign fans and not letting them in, not only is it going to be weird for the media, completely locked down except for when covering events, but when they do cover events, there's going to be empty gyms and empty pool houses and empty track and field events. Speaking of, let's throw this in there. Do you think there's going to be interest in the Olympics without all of the pageantry and the thousands of fans swarming these events?
1,000%. Yeah. Olympics are huge. And I think they're going to do everything they can to get them on. There'll be a little bit of a different atmosphere. But I think that there's what drives the Olympics are stories. The Olympics have a huge story aspect to them because we don't know these people. We don't have any connection to them. And so we're propelled by their stories. And all these people still have stories. You know, it's just stories about how they train in a bathtub or whatever during the pandemic. So, yeah, I think that the Olympics numbers are going to be off the charts. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Jay Busby joins us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Jay, my man, I appreciate your time as always, brother. I appreciate everything you've done for us, and we'll get you back on soon, partner.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
Always. Follow him on Twitter at Jay Busby, JAYBUSBEE. My buddy Jay Busby joins us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Let's take a quick break. When we come back here in just a minute, let's talk some women's Final Four. South Carolina taking on Stanford tonight. Give you a little preview of that game and my pick when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your phone.
I like Jay. He's a good dude. Fun interview.
I disagree with a couple of things he said, but yes, it's a good interview.
Dude, you're welcome to pop into interviews.
I was dealing with something else.
I got you. That other thing gets in the way of some stuff.
That other thing. Gotcha. So yeah.
Yeah, you're always welcome to pop into interviews.
So the two things I disagree with him. One, the Kentucky Derby. The reason why no one watched is because no one was there. People watch the Kentucky Derby to see what people are wearing. That's the only reason why people watch that thing. They don't watch it for the horse racing. They watch it for the pomp and circumstance and for, what kind of hats are they wearing this year? What kind of suits? All that kind of stuff. I will watch for that. That's what most people watch it for. And the other thing is, when he's talking about the political lines as far as politics and sports goes, I disagree with him there. If you want to throw out conservative things up there, I still don't want to hear about it. I want to watch the sports and escape from all that stuff. I want to, and I know this is a world that we don't live in. I would like to watch the sports and have no idea which side of the aisle these people are on. That's what I want. That's what an escape is for.
Yeah, I mean, look, in social media age, you're always going to know where LeBron, I know we always kind of default to LeBron, but I think he's the biggest face in American sports. In American sport, you're always going to know where LeBron comes down because you can't really escape it. If he says anything, it's back page news, but it's in the news. But yeah, I mean, to me, like a guy wearing a t-shirt, whatever. It's a t-shirt. It's going to be off when the game starts. And I'm not even watching the guys on the sideline.
Yeah, but it's different when you preempt normal programming to parade everybody out. And the thing that bothered me the most, I've said this before, I know it makes people mad, when the announcers and the people calling the game have to read a prepared statement. Now, if they believe in that statement, that's one thing. But you can tell quite a few of these people are reading because they're required to read it. And that is imposing your politics. And again, I don't have to watch. And I think that's why a lot of people are like, you know what? I don't have to watch this. I don't have to have this put in my face, whether I agree or disagree with it. I don't have to watch it, so I'm just not watching it.
It's not unfair.
It's a shame that I've had to turn to video games as my It's a real shame, actually.
I know.
It's a horrible thing that I have to go there.
Let's see. Great interview, Benjamin. I appreciate it. We want the pageantry. Yeah, I do. The Olympics without a huge opening game ceremony with thousands of fans in attendance, without the marching, it's going to be weird.
Yeah, and seeing all those guys that are in the Olympics and they know they have no shot, but the smiles on their face because it's an experience of a lifetime and they know it. And they're there, just big old goofy smiles knowing I should not be here, but I am. Look at all this.
Somebody asked a question. I thought it was really interesting. What is the emotion of an Olympic athlete in a sport where you likely get to go one time, right? You get to the Olympics once. What if this was your one Olympics and the one time you go, there's not the fans and the opening ceremony march on and the Olympic Village being a big party and all that? What a disappointment that would be to have this ideal of the perfect Olympics in your head and then to go and you're competing in track and field in a 80,000 seat stadium that's empty. What a disappointment that would be.
Oh, for sure, especially in a sport like track and field, because the roar of the crowd might take a tenth off of your run. It can absolutely do that.
Absolutely. On a more important question, Steven says, okay, guys, when Taco Bell does happen, do you go soft or hard shell tacos, though?
If I'm eating it right then, I will go hard shell. But if I'm going to grab a couple extra to eat later on, I will go soft because you can reheat the soft. You cannot reheat the hard.
Can you, Steven? Can you, Lonzo? Can you, Brian? Can you, Ben? Can you, Keegan? Can any of you explain me the actual difference between a soft taco and a burrito?
Portion of meat inside of or filling inside of said taco.
Is that just your best guess?
No, and the other thing is, I believe it's size of shell also. The burrito's shell is bigger than the taco shell.
The main difference, according to LaMesa.com, the main difference between a burrito and a taco is the shell size. Look at Zoe, the Mexican food expert. Tacos are generally a lighter snack or meal, while a larger burrito is a hearty full meal. For a taco, it can either be a soft or hard corn shell, while a burrito is generally a large flour tortilla, as corn tortillas tend to fall apart more easily. Look at Zoe, bringing the knowledge.
And by the way, the Dorito shell was the best invention ever.
Straight up delicious.
And, I know Rob will lean more towards
Cool Ranch all day.
Cool Ranch, but I think you can't go wrong either way. Compared to plain shells, you got to go Dorito shell.
I don't know if I told you this. Somebody sent me the recipe on how to make the Cool Ranch dust, so you don't have to crush up Doritos.
All right, come back.
Opinions wanted.
Well, opinions are like, we'll say, everybody has one.
Call 844-GSP-ESPN. Local sports talk on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Thanks again to Jay Busby of YahooSports.com for joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Glad to have him along for the ride. Let's talk Lady Gamecocks taking on the Cardinal of Stanford tonight. A Final Four battle featuring a pair of number one seeds is going to tip off at 6 o'clock. You better hear the game right here on ESPN Upstate. Stanford took down Louisville 78-63 back on Tuesday. Lexi Hull led the efforts, 21 points in the victory. South Carolina took care of Texas 63-34 in their team's last action, led by Zia Cooks, team high 16. So what can we expect out of this Final Four matchup tonight? Well, look, it's going to be a battle of two excellent offenses taking on two excellent defenses. Stanford is averaging 78.9 points per game, whereas South Carolina's defense gives up 57.8 on average per contest. When the Cardinal score 58 points or more, they are 29-2. Their record is 29-2. They have not scored less than 58 this year. But the Cardinal are shooting the ball exceptionally well from deep this year, connecting on 9 3-pointers per game, allowing just 5.5 made threes to their opponents. When Stanford shoots their average from behind the arc this season, The Cardinal are 15-0. The Gamecocks, on the other hand, are shooting very well from the floor, 44.1% from the field, limiting opponents to 36% from the floor. When South Carolina shoots above that average of 44, they are 14-0. So it comes down to you've got an excellent Cardinal defense that is going to try to disrupt the momentum of the Gamecock offense if South Carolina shoots the ball well. And I know this almost sounds like one of those very Captain Obvious things, and it is. But what I mean here isn't, well, you got to make your shots. Of course you do. What I mean here is you've got to work the ball around and take high percentage shots. You've got to give yourself the best opportunity to get to that 44% clip. You got to give yourself the best opportunity to knock those shots down, which means no panic shots. Don't just throw it up. Don't let Stanford's defense, which is going to come after you, it's going to attack you, don't let them force you into taking low percentage shots. Play your game. Allow Zia Cook to open up the floor with the three. Allow Leah Boston to take advantage of spacing issues and dominance down low. Keep an eye. On the defensive side, Kiana Williams, leading scorer for Stanford, averaging almost 15 points a contest and 3 assists per game. Lock up Kiana Williams. Do not let the offense flow through her. Make someone else on the Stanford Cardinal defense step up and take over that basketball game. If they do, fine. If you are taking your high percentage shots, you've still got an opportunity. But if you do not, and you allow Kiana Williams to dictate the direction of this game, then Stanford is going to pull this off. This is going to be the most competitive game that South Carolina has been in all season long. I mean, they are blowing teams out by double digits here but I absolutely believe that South Carolina's got the talent to win this game. Zia Cook, Destiny Henderson both need to step up, open up the floor for the girls down low and in the middle. If they do that, I will take South Carolina in this game, Lonzo. It's going to be close. You're looking at a game, I'm thinking probably in the 60s, like a 64, 62, 65, 64 kind of game. I'm thinking a game in the 60s. Neither team's getting to 70 in this one because this is the best defense either team has faced so far. But I will take the fact that South Carolina can match up with Stanford outside. Stanford doesn't have anybody that can match what Aaliyah Boston does when she's on her game down low. There's your edge. There's your advantage. Points in the paint. South Carolina almost outscored Texas just with points in the paint more than Texas had points overall. That's the difference, Lonzo. I'll take the Lady Gamecocks tonight by a deuce.
My only concern for South Carolina is the last couple of games and probably throughout the season, they have some lulls in intensity. And I think it has a lot to do with who they're playing and playing against talent that's not up to par with them. And in this case, they're not going to have to worry about that. So if they keep the intensity up, this is going to be a great game, like you said. And I'm going to go with the Gamecocks by 4.
I like it. I'm thinking we're all kind of in the same mindset there. But again, don't get comfortable. Play your game. Make Stanford play your game. That's a pretty standard basketball cliche. But in a game like this, where Stanford matches up well, if you try to play outside in basketball with Stanford the way that Stanford wants to play it, then you must absolutely dominate them on the inside as well. That's where this game is won and lost. There have been games where an effort from Zia Cook would have been good enough to carry you, but in this game, it needs to be South Carolina forcing the game to be physical, forcing the game to be inside, forcing the games to be played from the 4-5 spot outwards. If they do that, they win. Give me the Gamecocks by a deuce. Zoe says by 4. I like the pick. Quick break back after this on the Rob Brown Show. Rob, Lonzo, and you. This is ESPN Upstate.
You could have your own celebration dance.
Baseball on my TV. I'm so happy.
Why the John Denver, man? Why?
Dude, I love me some John Denver. Sunshine on my shoulder makes me happy.
I'm not saying I dislike John Denver, but I'm not saying that I really like him either. A little bit of John Denver here and there is fine.
He was born in the summer of his 27th year. It's like, it's just all great stuff, man. It's just all great stuff.
Since I've been spending a lot of my free time in West Virginia, maybe I hear, his music a little too much, maybe.
A magazine. I got to show you this, Lonzo. I think you'll laugh at it. A magazine down in Destin put up a picture of the band, my band, a couple at a little outside show we played a couple of weeks ago, and I got to show you the caption that they used for it because it's absolutely painful. I'll find the right one. Here it is. Can you read the caption there, Alonzo? We can't hear you if you're talking to us.
It wasn't on my screen yet, but now I see it. Yeah, I don't have my glasses on, but I leaned into it, and all I need is the first hyphenated 2 words. Middle-aged cover band.
Middle-aged cover band shenanigans. Absolutely beautiful. We put, so one of the logos, and you can, I doubt you can make it out, but down here on our drum, we took the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles logo font and we replaced Ninja Turtles with shenanigans. And then in the, the red font above the curved green where it says Ninja Turtles, where it says Teenage Mutant in the red brick, we wrote middle-aged cover band and then put shenanigans underneath it as a joke on our drummer's drum kit, because my guitarist, the Asian guy there on the left, this dude over here, this dude right here, that dude is 45 years old, Lonzo, and he looks like that, right?
What's wrong with that? I mean, long hair and sunglasses will make you look younger.
Dude, I don't know if you can see. He is shredded.
Yeah, you can see that.
Ripped. When he takes his glasses off, his name's Robert. He's one of my favorite people in the world. He looks like he's legitimately like 27, 28 years old. He's the oldest of all of us. I'm 36. My singer here is 36, almost 37. My bassist back here in the corner is 39, and my drummer is 39. So as a joke, we called ourselves, like you can barely see it, but it says middle-aged cover band shenanigans in the Ninja Turtles logo. Anyway, we did that as a joke, haha, one time. And this magazine straight up believed that was the full name of our band, was middle-aged cover band shenanigans.
So you did that to yourself. You absolutely did it to yourself.
I mean,
45 seconds, Upstate Golf Cart in the next break.
Okay.
When you threw it up there, I'm like, oh man, that's messed up. I can't believe they did that. But you did it to yourself.
Yeah.
So I guess I couldn't get away with going with middle-aged. But you know what? What is middle-aged? Do you just have to look at what the average... Yeah, anyway.
I can tell you what I didn't think it was. 36.
307. Use keyword ESPN followed by your comment. Local sports talk on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Yes, indeed. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, and you. GSP ESPN 844-477-3776. The men's Final Four coming up on Saturday. Houston and Baylor will get first tip at 5:14 p.m. Then we've got number 11 UCLA taking on the Bulldogs of Gonzaga. That one's going to be tomorrow night at 8:34 p.m. First game, Zoe, Houston and Baylor, kind of an interesting game. Baylor might be the number one seed that has gotten the least amount of attention so far this year. That Houston team and what they did in their Elite Eight game was nothing short of impressive. Houston is a very well-rounded team, and they do it on both ends. I like Houston over Baylor in game number one.
I am going to go with Baylor just because Mark Ryan came here from Houston.
Fair enough. Vindictive picks are my favorite picks. And then UCLA versus Gonzaga.
Colonel Grudge, baby.
Colonel Grudge, ladies and gentlemen. UCLA versus Gonzaga. I'm very interested in this game because I was thinking to myself, hey, UCLA doesn't have a chance, but UCLA didn't have a chance in any game for the most part. I mean, they didn't have a chance in any game that they busted through to get here. I thought Michigan was going to wreck UCLA. They've already knocked off a 1 seed, have the Bruins. Now they get a shot at another one. That being said, Lonzo, this Gonzaga team is just too good. The Cinderella ride has to end at some point. This is a UCLA team that lost, 4 or 5 in a row going into the Pac-12 tournament, a team that had to win a play-in at-large game just to be here. And don't get me wrong, it is momentously impressive that they have made history by getting this far as an 11 seed. But at the end of the day, this Gonzaga team, that's a team that when you look at them, right? If I just showed you a team picture of Gonzaga, you don't expect a whole heck of a lot out of them. But this Gonzaga team is one of the most well-constructed basketball teams that I have ever seen. They are put together to win this basketball game. They have won every game this year by 10 points or better. I see no reason the streak continues. I'll be pulling for UCLA because if an underdog makes it this far, they become the nation's darling. But unfortunately, Lonzo, Cinderella standing in front of a Mack truck does not mean she gets to continue dancing.
All right, so I keep telling myself I should go with chalk and go with Gonzaga because they're really, really good. But watching UCLA the last couple games, these kids believe that they can do it, and they will not be intimidated. I'm going to take the upset. Why not? Why not?
Riding with the Brew Crew.
How interesting would that be if they were able to finish the regular season the way they did, come into this tournament, get hot, and win the entire thing?
I got to tell you, like I said, I'm picking the Zags here, Zoe. I'm picking the Zags, but there's just that little part in the back of my brain that's like Mick Cronin has done everything that we all said he would not be able to do. Why should that stop now? Well, the answer is because he's up against the buzzsaw. And unfortunately, no matter how much fun it is to be the Cinderella, at some point the clock strikes midnight. And I think it does so with Timmy and the Zags riding hard. All right, so we are against each other in both games. I'm taking the Cougs over the Bears. Zoe taking Houston over Baylor. Baylor over Houston. I am taking the Zags to march on to the final. Lonzo says, go ahead and pick UCLA. Is UCA really a Cinderella, though? Most national championships in basketball. That's what Brian says down here in the stream. Join us on the stream at ESPN Upstate. Yeah, I say they are. I mean, they're an 11 seed that had to win an at-large game to get in and then had to fight their way through 1 seeds and bottoms or and top seeds to get here. I don't think your history from when, great players were there in the 60s and 70s means you're not a Cinderella today. I absolutely think that they are a Cinderella in this tournament. All right, quick break. When we come back, we play everybody's favorite game. Zoe tells me what's trending on Twitter. I give you 30 to 45 seconds about what I know about it. And if I don't know anything about it, I make it up. That's how we play Twitter trending topics, and we do it next on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
Golf card.
Yep.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
If you were to call a beautiful golf course right now, just looking to see what the rates were, maybe you want to get a tee time this weekend. The weather's going to be absolutely beautiful on Saturday and Sunday. You want to get out, maybe swing around 18. And you called and said, hey, what's the rate? And they said to you, well, hey there, hypothetical listener that I made up for this example. Turns out you picked us at a great time because this weekend we have got 75% off of our greens fees. As a matter of fact, you can come play around for less than $1 a hole. How's, I don't know, let's say $15 a round, say. You would go, I will take all the tee times, please. Of course you would. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That's literally, kind of metaphorically, what's happening right now with the Upstate golf card on sale. The best deal for golfers is back. It's better than ever. 9 premier Upstate golf courses on the 2021 golf card for just $99. It's over $450 worth of golf for just $99 over a 75% discount. For only $99, you can purchase the golf card and get a round of golf at 9 different courses: the Preserve at Verde, Pebble Creek, Legacy Pines, the Rock Golf Club and Resort, Carolina Springs, Willow Creek, Links to Tryon, Rolling Green Golf Club, and the club at Brookstone, which is new on the card this year. $450 worth of golf. You get it for $99. That is less than $15 a round, less than $1 a hole. Go to upstategolfcard.com to learn more. Upstategolfcard.com to learn more. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Upstate Golf Card. Get yours now. It's a great way to get out on the course with your amigos all spring and summer long. Courses are open. Springs in the air. Go play with the Upstate Golf Card.
Wow, my nervousness just went up even further.
About?
So I told you, and I can tell the audience that I'm getting Josh Martin, the voice of Majin Buu, tomorrow on the show. Well, it's just confirmed I'm also getting Chris Rager, who is the voice of Hercule from Dragon Ball Z. Nice. So I'm getting
at the same time.
Yes.
Nice.
And
are you gonna ask him for a mini table read?
Oh. I don't know. And I get them for a half hour to an hour. I guess it depends on how the interview goes. And I've watched some videos on these guys and looked up some things. And they started out as on an improv team in Houston.
Together?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
you should ask them, Zoe, if they would do with you like a 3-minute table read, pick a great scene with those 2 characters and another character that you like. And you should do a table read with them where you act out as one of the other characters.
Now I've seen that done done before, and the guy who is the voice of Pinky from Pinky and the Brain.
Yep.
He does that a lot with people, and it is really, really cool. So that definitely is a thought. And Chris Rager also is a big time voice in video games, including the Borderlands series 1, 2, and 3. He is a major voice that's heard all over that game. So, I mean, there's so much to talk to these guys about. And I'm nervous already.
We did a convention in Destin when 2016, 2017. And we had Rob Paulson, who is the
Rob Paulson. That's who I was talking about.
Okay. We had Rob Paulson, We had the guy who played what's the game? Anyway, he played one of the tank characters in one of the old multiplayer video games from back in the day. We had the dude who voiced Brain from Pinky and the Brain, the big the big dude.
Yeah, the big dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
Had him in. And on my old phone, the one before the one I had that just broke, I actually had all of them record messages for me that I would change in as voicemails. So you would call my phone and you would have the voice from Brain from Pinky and the Brain, and he would say, Rob was unable to come to the phone right now. We're trying to take over the world. Leave a message.
That is great.
It was super cool. And I had Rob Paulson answer because he was the voice of Michelangelo in the old Ninja Turtles animated series. I had him answer my voicemail as Michelangelo.
Oh, that is really cool.
Yeah.
So I got to figure out how I can get them to voice some liners for the show tomorrow, and I may just have them do it live on Facebook and just lift it from that. Just because people have never, it's kind of the behind the scenes type thing of how you get that done. Yeah. So I might do that.
That'd be cool. And you ought to have Mahjong Boo have your voicemail message.
Yeah, I never check.
You're thinking about it.
I never check my voicemail.
It's not for you, buddy. It's for all your nerd friends that would start
Twitter trending.
That's true.
Topics.
All right, it's time for Twitter trending topics, where I tell Rob what is trending on the internet, and he will tell us what he knows about. This first one is a big deal, at least for Rob and I. It is. Chris Jericho is trending.
Jericho, break the walls down. Jericho is going to be on the Stone Cold Broken Skull sessions. And this is interesting, not just because two really good wrestling podcasters are going to get together to have the conversation, but obviously this is the biggest crossover between WWE and AEW faces, legends, if you will, that has happened since AEW really took off. And you have to imagine that Stone Cold is not going to shy away from asking him about AEW, about why he decided to leave WWE for AEW, about the competition between the two. Look, I'm 100% sure that Jericho is going to give you answers like, well, we just thought there could be an alternative. We're not here to take out WWE. We're just here to offer another product that wrestling fans can enjoy, blah, blah, blah. But it is very interesting, considering Stone Cold does still work with WWE off and on. Very interesting that they are going to let these two guys chat together on Stone Cold's podcast. There have been some really good episodes of the Broken Skull sessions, Lonzo. This might be the one that is can't miss.
Well, of course they're going to break down Chris Jericho's wrestling. They're going to do that because Stone Cold does that on all of these and do some backstage stories and things like that. But I would be disappointed, and I think probably AEW fans would be disappointed if Jericho goes in there and is not vocal about everything and it looks like he's holding back. I don't think he will. I think I'm more shocked that Vince McMahon signed off on this.
Yeah, 100%. But, and again, my question would be at this point, Stone Cold's been a guy who's not really afraid or held back from embracing pretty much any topic he wants. But my question is going to be, did Vince give Stone Cold any topics he's not allowed to discuss?
And I think if he did, he'll tell everyone that he's not. Absolutely. Yeah. And
if he does, Lonzo, if Stone Cold comes on and goes, all right, we're going to talk to Chris Jericho. We're going to talk to Chris Jericho. I can't do a Stone Cold. And he says, but we can't talk about these things because Vince specifically forbade me to. Is that going to knock your opinion of VKM any?
By the way, you act like I think he's a god or something. Dude makes mistakes all the time. Just because I'm down on AEW doesn't mean that I'm so high on WWE. I think you're painting a false picture of me. I, like you and a lot of people, cannot wait till Vince McMahon retires and we see the NXT product hopefully become the product of SmackDown and Raw. And we'll see that it will be much better when that happens. So I think if Stone Cold does talk about, hey, I wasn't supposed to talk about this, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin, then it's all set up that way. It's just all set up that way. And the wrestlers, you can't tell. I mean, you can't tell. Even when they say we're gonna pull back the curtain. Yeah, right. I don't know. I mean, it's like having a conversation with an actor. You don't know if they're acting or not when they're talking to you. When it seems like they like you, they may not be. They're an actor. You don't know.
Break the walls down.
All right. The next thing trending is Bill Self.
Bill Self is trending because it has been announced that Bill Self has signed a lifetime contract with the Kansas Jayhawks. His current contract is being replaced with a new 5-year rolling agreement that automatically adds 1 year to the conclusion of his contract at the conclusion of every season, meaning that he can stay on board as the head coach of Kansas Roundball for as long as he wants to. Which says that Kansas does not give a blank about the NCAA investigations that have been taking place around their basketball program for some time now. This is really interesting because if the NCAA investigations into Kansas basketball and Will Wade at LSU and a handful of others, if they do come out that he willingly and knowingly committed any acts of impropriety, Kansas is locked in ride or die with this cat now. This could get really dicey down the road for the Kansas Jayhawks, but this is their expression of belief in their dude.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it is. It's probably a mistake, but it's still pretty cool.
If he was like a phenomenal coach with no impropriety that had followed around, I'm not saying he did anything wrong. I'm saying there is an open investigation, and the NCAA doesn't just open those lightly. If there is any impropriety, Kansas just screwed themselves. If they did not, great. I mean, I can tell you look at the Mike Kays and the Roy Williams, you want a coach that's going to stick around for 15, 20, 25, 30 years, and they are rare.
Yeah, especially if that coach is a winning coach. Yeah. Because that helps recruiting for years to come, which brings money into the university. And so definitely. All right, the next thing trending is Xbox Game Pass.
Don't know why Game Pass is trending. I have Game Pass. Zoe has Game Pass. I have put on a handful of games off of Game Pass, but no idea why it's trending today.
All right, there's a couple reasons. One, the brand new game Outriders dropped on Game Pass last night. Check it out. It's pretty fun if you're into shooters and that kind of thing. Not to the degree of the stuff that you play, but it's somewhere in between. It's somewhere between Halo and Destiny. A lot of fun. But the main reason why Xbox Game Pass is trending is because MLB The Show is coming March 20th. And Sony people are very upset because they thought that game was going to be a Sony exclusive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So
get mad about that?
Sony just got screwed over by Bethesda. If you're just a Sony guy, and so now you're thinking, well, at least we got the show. Now you can't say that you have that exclusively either. And not only, so Xbox players get it. It's not really for free because you're paying, but you don't have to pay full price for the game and you can play it. Right. So Sony people are not very happy about that. All right. The next thing trending is Lil Nas again.
Whatever. Look, Lil Nas has done some stuff in order to make himself popular. We've seen the stuff about the shoes. Nike has put out a statement that says we do not have a relationship with Lil Nas X or his company. Nike did not design or release these shoes, and we do not endorse them. Look, the guy's on a publicity tour. He is trying to prove a point. His point is, I have been told by the same people that are outraged about this stuff that I am a certain type of way because of my lifestyle. Lil Nas X is gay, for those of you who did not know. And he is trying to prove a point, and he's also on a social media popularity tour at the same time. And hey, welcome to 2021, baby.
All right. So why he's trending is Nike has got a restraining order against Lil Nas, so he can no longer sell the shoe. But my understanding is that they're only, in the first place. They were. They sold 666 within a few minutes of them going on sale. So if you only made 666 and you sold those already, what good does a restraining order do? Because you've already sold out of the ones that were made.
Well, I'd assume that it prevents him from doing it again in the future, because that'd be something he could do once a year and make $1 billion off of it. So. Let me give you your keyword for the upcoming hour in our $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. The keyword for the 3 o'clock hour is rock. R-O-C-K, like, dude, it would totally rock if I won $1,000. Text rock, R-O-C-K, to 72881, 72881, powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Text rock, R-O-C-K, to 72881. Quick break, and you get the bonus hour. I'm Rob Brown. I'm back with you for one more coming up next on The Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Those of you on the stream, I'm going to have to cut it now, but I will be back on Monday. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on the